Alright, so in this video, I'll explain to you exactly what remote high-ticket closing is, how it works, so you can go from a complete beginner, starting this and scaling to your first 10K a month by following this guide step by step. I'll walk through exactly how to do it, and it comes down to three things that you need to have in place to be able to succeed with this. If you have these three things in place, it's probably the easiest path that anyone can take to go from zero to making their first dollar online. And before we get into these steps, what I want to tell you is the reason behind why this is the case, why this is such a simple path to take to start making money online. And the main reason for that is just because remote sales, what it is, instead of you having to learn, for example, doing drop shipping or doing a marketing agency or doing trading or any of those other opportunities, what those opportunities involve is you have to start your entire business. You have to do sales, you have to book appointments, you have to close appointments, you have to fulfill for clients. If you do trading, you're risking pretty much every single dollar that you have when you're trading, and you could be actively losing money, which means that you can't keep doing it forever. And that's the issue with most other business models, because most things you can be doing out there, you can only keep doing it for a limited amount of time. For example, if you're doing SMMA and you're having to run ads to get clients, or you're having to spend money to get softwares and things like that, you can only keep doing that for so long until you run out of money. The difference with remote sales is you're learning one skill and then you're working for a business, which means you don't actually have to take the risk of being a business owner yourself and doing marketing yourself or putting all this money into it. The only thing you need first off to get started is just learning the skill set. Learning how to speak with people and how to persuade people and things like that. Because that's really what it's all about. Remote sales, what it is you're learning the skill of how to speak with people, how to run calls over Zoom, and then you basically just find an online entrepreneur, a business owner who has a high-ticket online coaching program that they're selling, and you just take the sales calls off their plate. Instead of them taking their calls themselves, because obviously they're busy people and they want to scale their business, you come in and you take the calls for them. You set your own schedule and you have people basically book in on your calendar and just talk with them for 30 minutes to 60 minutes, and then your job is just to have a conversation in a way where it naturally leads to them making a good decision for themselves, either joining the program or if it's not a good fit, not joining the program. So the first thing you need to learn then is obviously, number one, you need to learn how to properly run these conversations, human psychology, how to speak with people, what's gonna get people to buy, what's gonna drive people to make decisions. That's the first thing you need to learn, an actual skill set. And it takes some time. But the two main things you need is number one is proper training and understanding the psychology, understanding how sales works, why people buy. Because most people, and you're probably watching this if you're new to sales, you probably got that completely wrong. Because most people think that sales is this high pressure thing where you should just push people into making decisions that they don't want to make. And that's not what sales is. What sales actually is, at least in this industry specifically, it's way more like a cooperative thing where you're trying to understand people and understand where they're at, what their goals are, and basically helping them understand why they need to make change, and then you're helping them make a good decision and overcome their own limiting beliefs and basically just leading them to make the best decision for themselves. That's what it's all about. So that's the first thing. You need to learn that psychology, learn how to actually run those conversations in a proper way, so you know how to actually show up on calls and what to actually do on the calls. That's the first thing. Second thing is you also need to be with a really good business. You need to be working with a good company as well. That's really important, because there's a lot of people that get into this space, they learn the skill, they get really good at it, but then there's people who are making 5K a month, and there's other people who are making 25, 30K a month, just because they're with different businesses. So you need to be with a good company that actually has a good offer that people actually want to buy. Because if you're working with a company that has a good offer that people are going to wanting to buy, that's very attractive to people. It's going to be so much easier to close people when you're on a call with someone compared to if you're selling a very shitty offer. So that's a super important thing. To be with a good company that has a good culture, that has a good offer, that has things in place for you to be able to make as much money as possible. That's the second thing. And then the third thing is just having support and having guidance to be able to scale once you're with a company. If you have those three things in place, the right training, access to the right companies, which can come from a network or just knowing how to properly reach out to businesses in the right way, and then having the right guidance to actually be able to scale from zero, because that's usually the hardest part. Is people get the training, people land a role, and then they get into a business and they're like, shit, what do I do now? I have a business, I have the opportunity to make money, but how do I actually like go from zero to starting to like adapt to the business and starting to make things work and starting to make money, all that stuff. So that's the last thing. And this is exactly what we teach, or like what I teach inside of my community as well. So if you want to get my help with like getting these things in place and getting a blueprint, a course to follow, and the support and everything, you can obviously join my community and get the help inside of there. But these are the things you need to get in place. And if you have this, like the path going from zero, I've seen people go in literally like 2 to 4 weeks from complete beginner, never having done sales ever before in their entire life, to landing their first role and starting to make money online in literally 2 to 4 weeks. There's really no other opportunity where the likelihood of succeeding is as high as with remote sales. Because again, you're learning one skill, you're focusing on only one thing instead of 10 different things. You're not starting your own business, you're not doing sales, marketing, fulfillment, you're focusing on one single skill, and it's also the most fundamental skill of business. It's gonna set you up for the rest of your life. So for me, this changed my life completely. I went from being broke, having $500 in my bank, to being able to create a life of freedom, move to Medellin, Colombia, get my own apartment, be able to make over 100K per year because of learning this skill. There is one niche within high ticket remote sales where you make more money than all other niches. And not only that, but it's way more fulfilling. You achieve more freedom for yourself than anything else. And the funny thing is, no one really talks about this online either. I never heard any of the other gurus talk about this ever. But this is the exact principle, the exact framework that helped me pick offers over and over again, where I've made multiple 6 figures now before I turned 22 years old, build a life of complete freedom. And most importantly, I've been selling stuff and offers that I actually stand behind, things that I actually believe in within remote high ticket sales. And this framework is going to be valuable for you regardless if you're a complete beginner, you've never done remote high ticket sales before, you're trying to get into it, land your first role, or if you already made 5, 10K a month, trying to get into a better offer, we can have more fulfillment, more enjoyment, and make way more money than you're making right now. This is the framework of exactly how to do so. So let's dive into it. And yes, to be transparent before we get into it, this is not going to be like a video I'm going to try to sell you on some course or some mentorship or any of that stuff. I just want to give you the blueprint of exactly how to do this, because I have a lot of people that I've worked with that's asked me about like how do we actually pick the right niche to work with. So to answer your question, what's the best niche? Is it to get into B2B? Is it to work with marketing agencies? Is it to work within SaaS companies, or within tech sales, or within solar sales? Or should you work with companies that are selling like health coaching, or work with companies that are helping other coaches grow? There's so many different niches to get into. And the biggest misconception that most people have about like high ticket remote sales in general is that there's niches that are better than other niches, Because you see someone that's making a shit ton of money within health coaching, you're like, oh shit, I should get into health coaching because this guy is making all this money in this industry. Or you see someone that's doing B2B sales and selling like high ticket offers in B2B and making more money doing that. I can tell you from experience, because I've sold 24K offers for B2B consulting. I've sold 5K like health offers, performance coaching offers, biohacking offers. I've sold all kinds of different things. I've sold for a marketing agency that I had on my own, and also for other marketing agencies. I've sold to like in-person businesses. I've sold B2C, like business opportunities, how to make money online and things like that to consumers. And what I can tell you after all the experience that I've gone through and having made multiple 6 figures in this space, is that the best niche, there is no best niche. The best niche for you is going to be the one that you stand behind the most, the thing that you can truly believe in, the offer that you can truly wake up in the morning, hop on calls with people, and truly feel like when you enroll someone into that program, when you pitch someone on what the program is and how you can help them solve their problem, you truly believe in what you're offering the client. When you do that, when you find that offer, you will make more money than ever imagined before in your entire life. And you will have more fulfillment than you could ever have imagined as a result of that as well. So the question is like, how do we find an offer like that? How do you actually find an offer that is going to give you that type of fulfillment and allow you to make a lot of money and something you can actually stand behind, It's something that I've been through a lot, because I've sold offers before that I did not feel alignment with, I didn't really believe in. And I sold a lot of offers that I truly believed in. I sold health offers, for example. For me, I'm very interested in health, carnivore diet, and health improvement, things like that. And also obviously within remote sales and making money online, that's also something that's really changed my life as well. So those are 2 things that I really stand behind. And those have also been the offers that I performed the best on. Health offers and also making money online offers. So I want you to ask yourself, sit down for yourself, what are your unique interests? What are the things that you really like when you sit in your afternoons after work, when you're not getting paid to do stuff? Like, let's say you're working a 9 to 5 right now, for example, you know? Outside of work, what are the stuff that you watch on YouTube? What are the websites that you go on to? What are the things that you talk about with your friends? What are your interests? It could also be your 9 to 5, you know? Do you have a specific job that's very like niche down in something? If so, if you have a very specific interest, which pretty much everyone has, you can find offers in that space that you are going to sell way better than most people out there. For example, for me, like, I'm going to sell a carnivore offer way better than most people because I stand behind it. Carnivore diet, to a large extent, changed my life. I'm going to sell a remote sales offer better than most people because like getting into the space, I've built a life that I have right now where I can travel, work from wherever I am, make money here from Spain, be in Sweden, be in Colombia, be in South America, wherever I am, you know? And if you have an experience for example, there's one guy in my coaching program that's been in construction. He's been working in construction. He really likes that industry and he kind of knows the lingo and things like that. And he just like enjoys speaking with those people. And because of that, it makes it super, super easy for him to get into that industry, land offer, and close a lot of deals to make a lot of money and also enjoy what he does because he believes in that industry. He's been doing that for a long time. So whatever that is for you, that is going to be the golden offer where you'll make more money than you ever imagined and have way more fulfillment. So sit down, figure that out. Like, what are the unique interests that you have that most people don't have? What are the things that you can't stop learning about? What are the type of people that you love speaking with, you know? That's something that I can also tell you from my experience. It's like, for me, working and selling like offer to young guys that are between like maybe 18 to like 25 years old. That's something I got a lot of fulfillment from as well, because of the fact that I can see myself in their eyes, you know? When I was younger, like the same limiting beliefs that I had, the same fears that I had when I was younger, I can see that in their eyes. And because that, there's a lot of enjoyment that comes from like helping those people overcome their limiting beliefs. So that's a very like simple thing you can do is just like pick a niche, an offer that you would have needed maybe like 2, 3, 4 years ago. Sell to the avatar that you were 2 to 4 years ago. That's gonna make it so much more easy to sell because you're basically just talking to the old self and you know exactly how you were thinking back then, what the problems were with your ways of thinking, and what had to be changed in order to get the results that you have gotten today. Because the reality is like the industry doesn't matter. You can sell literally like you can sell offers which are there's offers about like how to like carnivore coaching, there's dating coaching offers, there's offers helping like construction companies get more customers. There's literally offers in like any industry. There's even like offers about helping women get better orgasms. Like there's literally anything you can imagine that someone has like problems with, someone trying to like solve problems. There's offers in that space. And when I say offers, I'm talking about like high ticket online entrepreneurs, online coaches that sell their own coaching programs, you know? So you just need to find the offer that you truly resonate with. And you probably already have people that you follow online. You probably have people that like on YouTube, on Instagram, people that you follow, and a lot of those people have high ticket offers. So just reach out to those people that you already follow, that you already believe in what they do, and try to get a role with them. This is literally like the framework to succeed. It's so easy because if you do this, you will stand out from most of the people as well. Because most people, they just go for this like super big roles into like very general industries with people that they don't really know because they see that other people are making money working for those online coaches and entrepreneurs.
Most sales reps struggle handling objections, losing deals that they should have closed. But I've been able to close over $3 million in high-ticket sales using one simple objection handling framework I'm going to share with you in this video. I'm going to show you exactly how it works, why it's different from everything else that you've heard about before, and how you can use it to start closing more high-ticket deals and become a really good high-ticket closer. By the way, my name is Alex. I went from being a broke and lost high school student to closing over $3 million personally. And I make these videos to help others get into high ticket sales. If you want to learn from me directly, you always have the option to book a call with me down below the video. And the framework I'm going to share with you in this video, it's not just theory. It's something that I've personally used to sell over $3 million personally. And I've used this exact framework to sell offers ranging from $3,000 up to over $25,000, both B2C and also B2B. And I've also taught this to hundreds of sales reps and also entire sales teams, allowing them to see their closing rate literally skyrocket almost overnight. So first off, we need to understand why most salespeople salespeople struggle to handle objections. And there are three main reasons behind that. And the funny thing is that these three things have very little to do with what you say, and it's way more about how you say it. Number one, most salespeople get an objection and all of a sudden they get super defensive. They get an objection, then they change their entire state, they get irritated, annoyed, and the objection handling turns into almost like argument. It gets combative with the prospect, ends up not closing the deal because of that. They end up in this back and forth with the prospect because they expect the person to just buy without any objection. The prospect has an objection, the salesperson gets annoyed and frustrated, and they're not able to just get to the root of the objection. They start like kind of pushing them and trying to force them to buy, and end up losing the deal because of it. And the second reason is that most salespeople, instead of genuinely trying to understand the prospect's objection and understand why they're unsure about you moving forward and taking the step, they've been watching all this content from different sales gurus and have all of these like one-liner objection handles and these different word tracks that they've memorized, and they just use those whenever they get an objection. Instead of trying to understand the person, they just using these memorized tracks, just running through textbook objection handle, and end up losing deals because of that. So instead of truly understanding the person, understanding their objection, they just put in this objection handle that they've learned on it and just hoping that's going to fix the problem. And it doesn't work. And the third mistake that salespeople make is they sound way too desperate. They have this like needy tonality, commission breath is what we call it. They sound like they need the sale desperately, which kills your entire frame, because your goal as a closer, you want to sound like the leader, you want to lead the person throughout the process of making a decision. But if you sound like you desperately need them to buy, the trust is going to be completely killed with the prospect. They're not going to trust you, they're not going to buy from you. So this is a massive mistake, is sounding desperate and sounding like you desperately need them to buy, and almost getting kind of like frustrated when you're not moving forward. It makes you completely lose your authority and your ability to close the deal. So those are the three main mistakes I see closers make when it comes to handling objections. Now I'm going to give you the actual framework for how to do this properly and how to close deals almost effortlessly. But before we get into that, you need to start looking at objections in the right way. So I want to shift the way that you look and the mindset that you have when approaching objections. Realize, number one, that your state as a salesperson cannot change when you get an objection. You need to be an oak tree, grounded deep in the soil, and not move and not change your state, not get upset, mad, frustrated, desperate, any of those things when you get an objection. Start expecting to get at least 1 to 2 objections at the end of every single sales call that you're on, and that's going to allow you to keep your state the same when you get an objection. The worst thing you can do is change and get flustered when you get an objection. You need to be steady and very stoic in yourself and just grounded, because otherwise the prospect will sense that your state changes when they give an objection, and they're not going to react positively to that. You need to stay grounded, stay calm, and be able to guide the prospect to making a good decision while staying calm and relaxed. Also realize that most objections stems back to just uncertainty. If you can just bring up the person's certainty from maybe being like let's say a 5 out of 10 certain on the program being the right thing to like 8, 9 out of 10, they will move forward. So your main focus when you get an objection is just to make sure the person is actually certain about the program before handling anything else. That's the main thing, is just bringing up certainty. When you do that, you will end up closing deals. And the way that you actually do that is understanding that every single objection should be treated like a mini discovery, okay? Instead of treating an objection like, okay, this person needs to think about it, I'm going to tell them that no, you should not think about it, because thinking about it is something that broke people do, and rich people and successful people are action takers. Instead of doing that like BS objection handle that's so overused and that doesn't work at all, your focus with every single objection needs to be to understand the person, okay? None of these reframes or word tracks that you've learned from your favorite coach will actually work unless you truly understand what the real objection is, okay? The way you do this is by treating every single objection like a mini discovery, okay? So when you get an objection, you start asking questions, you start digging deeper, and like really just ask questions until you fully understand what this person is unsure about, why they want to think about it, why they want to talk with their spouse, like what's actually the root cause for this objection. If you do this, closing becomes easy, because when you truly understand the deeper reason for why they want to wait or why they want to push it off or whatever it is, it's super easy to handle. But the reason why you're losing deals right now is because you're handling like the surface level objection, not handling like the real root cause. And that's very hard to do, because when you handle like this, the surface level thing, you don't actually know if you're handling the right thing or not. You might end up doing like a 20-minute objection handle and then still not closing the deal. But if you just take the time to ask more questions, you get deeper, you will figure out exactly what it is, and you can shift the prospect's belief very quickly around that one thing and then close the deal. So that's how I want you to be looking at objection handling. And now I want to give you the actual framework to handle objections at the highest level, to be able to close at over 50% on your sales calls, both B2B and B2C. So first off, understand the structure of how to handle objections, okay? When you get to the end of the call, when you've dropped price and you get whatever objection you get, the first thing you need to focus on is not about going into handling a spouse objection or handling, I need to talk with my partner, or it's not the right time right now, or it's too expensive, I don't have the money, Your focus before handling any objection is to make sure that this person is 100% sure that my solution whatever program, service that you're selling right now is exactly what they want to do and is the best solution for them to go from where they are to their goal. That is like your number one priority above everything else. You need to make sure right away whenever you get any type of objection that this person actually thinks that this is the right solution for them. Because most of the time when someone says it's too expensive or they want to talk with their spouse or it's not the right time or whatever it is, those objections actually just mean that they're unsure about the program. They're uncertain. Okay, think about it yourself. Like if you were 100% sure that this solution that you had, like this medicine could cure like a disease that you've been struggling with for a long time, would you wait taking that? No. Would you go and talk with someone else before you take it? No. Would you use the last penny that you had in your bank account to pay for it? Of course. So stop taking these objections at face value and handling whatever objection that they give you, and instead start focusing on creating certainty. Objection handling becomes so much easier when you focus on actually getting them certain, because what happens if you do this, let's say that your prospect tells you that they want to talk with their partner, you start handling this like straight on, like don't talk with your partner, make this decision on your own, blah blah blah, but the person is not actually certain about the solution being the right thing. Then it becomes very combative, like you're trying to like push them into doing something that they don't really want to do themselves, and it becomes combative. You're probably not going to close them. However, on the other hand, if you actually focus on getting them to tell you that I 100% want to do this program, I'm certain I want to do this, other than talking with my spouse, I am 100% in, then it becomes way more cooperative. Then you and the prospect are on the same side of the table, and you're kind of sitting here on the same side of the table and handling the objection that's on the other side. That's like the enemy for both of you guys. It becomes way more cooperative, and you will end up closing the deal when they actually tell you that, hey man, I want to do this. It's just a matter of like this thing that I need to figure out first. I need to get the money sorted out. I need to just get my spouse permission to get the money to do it, Everything becomes so much easier when you're actually on the same side of the table with them and you're cooperating towards the objection, towards fixing it, instead of like trying to like just close them with like your one-liners and not really like understanding what's actually going on with them. Objection handling, it's all about increasing their certainty. If you can do this, you will close most of your deals by getting their certainty up to a high level. So focus on handling that. The way you do this is by making sure that every single prospect, whatever objection they give you, you ask them, okay, that objection, whatever it is aside, how do you feel about the program? How do you feel about the service? Do you feel like this is the right thing that's going to get you from where you are to your goal, or how do you feel? And you ask them again, okay, cool. So objection aside, are you 100% sure you want to do this? Okay, super, super important. You need to get a tie down, because when you ask that, they're probably going to tell you like, yeah, I'm actually a bit unsure about this. And you handle that objection. But if you skip this part and you just go straight to whatever objection they give you, you will miss and you will not close the deal. Okay, this is why you're losing this right now. But this is what it all stems down to. If you can just do this and make sure you handle uncertainty before anything else, your sales costs are going to get so much better and you will end up closing so much more deals. And the second part of this framework is something that I learned from a mentor that's closed multiple 8 figures in high ticket sales. Absolute beast when it comes to closing. And what that is understanding that every single person that you talk to on a sales call, every single person in life, like everyone that's out there, at the end of the day, sales is something that you do on a daily basis. It's all about like understanding how humans work. Anyway, so the point is that every single person out there, we always, as humans, we always do what we think is in our best interest to do. Okay, that's it's like a basic fundamental thing. Seems pretty like obvious, but it's important to understand as a salesperson. Every single human being, they always do what they think is in their best interest. Okay, what that means is that when someone tells you on a sales call, when you got them past like the uncertainty and like these type of things, someone tells you that like, yeah, I genuinely want to wait 24 hours before I do this, or I genuinely need to talk with my spouse, or I genuinely don't have the money to do this. It all stems back to them having the belief, like they hold the belief deep down because of their experience, because of how their life has been up until this point. The decisions that they made early in their life has led them to a point where they think that thinking about it or talking to their spouse or not making a decision today is the right thing for them to do, is the thing that's going to be in their best interest to do. Okay, so just understand this. It's super important to understand. When you understand this, you can approach objection handling from a more curious standpoint. So someone tells you when you think about it, instead of just, okay, you don't need to think about it, you just do this right now. If you come at it from a curious perspective, you'll probably try to like, you would want to figure out, okay, what has this person experienced in their life? Maybe like a past program that they bought, something that didn't work out in the past, maybe some limiting beliefs that they hold, or like a way of making decisions that's not serving them. You want to figure out like, what is that this person has that's not serving them right now, that's making them feel like this is the right thing for them to do. If you approach objection handling this way, it becomes super, super easy, because you treat every single objection like a discovery. You dig into it, you figure out what does this person need to believe to be true in order to want to take X, Y, and Z action. And I've had calls where I literally just use this framework, and it's so effective. I had guys that, hey man, I want to think about it, I don't want to make a decision right now. They're completely like closed down to doing anything, and instead of just trying to close them, I dig in, I ask questions, figure out what's going on, like what have they experienced in the past, why does this person feel like they want to wait, And I would literally just ask people like, okay, God man, no worries at all, I'm just curious, like what makes you feel like waiting 24 hours is the best thing for you to do? do. And they happily tell you, when you're curious and genuine and grounded. And I had people tell me like, yeah, I bought a program in the past. I made a quick decision because it seemed super great and it ended up not working out. I got scammed, And then you just understand the person. You just realize, okay, this guy, he has attached the fact that he made a quick decision in the past to the program not working out. When in reality, the fact that it didn't work out was not because he made a quick decision. The fact that it didn't work out was because he made a bad decision. He made an uninformed and didn't have all the clarity before deciding, okay? And when I help him understand that and just reframe his way of thinking, reframe his beliefs around decision making and like making a fast decision is not bad, it's actually making an uninformed decision. I figured out what information that he would have needed to have before making a decision, figured out that he actually had that information about our offer and knew that this was actually different from what he tried in the past, and I ended up closing the deal. Just because I understood him and I dug in, and I treated the objection like a discovery and came in with the intention to just understand him and why he wanted to think about it, what beliefs he held, and I was able to handle it very, very simply by doing it. So use this on your next sales call. I promise you it's gonna make closing so much more fun, so much more simpler, and objection handling becomes a walk in the park when you actually implement this in the right way. If you want my help one-on-one to master this framework, be able to close more high-ticket deals and get into a good high-ticket sales role where you can make 5 to 10K per month, click the link below, book a call, and we'll chat, and I'll see if I can actually help you out with my one-on-one coaching. If you have any questions or just want to chat, message me on Instagram. I'm happy to reply to your DM and just give you some value over there. Get into it. So in this document, I have my entire A to C B2C sales framework, literally everything that I do on my sales call that's allowing me to close over $3 million. This specific framework is going to be for a B2C type of offer. And what B2C means, it means that you're selling to consumers. So instead of selling to actual businesses, you're selling to normal people, like everyday 9-to-5ers, people looking to lose weight, people looking to make money online, etc. So I'm going to show you the entire process, exactly what I say every single part of the call, what I say in the beginning of the call, how I dig into their problem, how I figure out their goal, exactly how I pitch the program, and exactly how I close the deal and overcome objections, literally everything, the entire framework. So let's get into it. First things, I'm like this key overall fundamental things it's important to have in place that I always remind myself of before every single sales call that I go into. I've taken thousands of calls and I do this before every single call. I remind myself, number one, commitment to the process, detaching myself from needing every single sale to close, and instead just focusing myself as much as possible on just enjoying the process and getting to the truth with every single person I'm speaking with. I don't need everyone to buy, I just need to get to the truth and do a good process, which is basically like following this exact sales framework I'm going to show you in the video. Second thing is I am a leader. I'm showing up to the sales call as the person who's going to be driving the call for. I'm going to challenge people. I'm going to be present in the moment and show up as the leader that this person, aka the prospect, needs to be able to actually make a good decision and get to where they want to go, which is going to be uncomfortable for them. So that's why I'm going to be confident. I'm going to be certain. I'm going to lead them throughout the entire process and be the confident person that they need to actually make the changes required to get to where they want to go. Okay. Oak tree energy, leaning out and rooted in the soil. This basically is like the energy, the tonality that I have in my type of, and it's how I show up on a sales call. I have oak tree energy. What that means is no matter what the prospect says, no matter what objections they give me, no matter how they respond to my questions, no matter really what happens throughout the entire call, I am grounded. I am like an immovable tree that's just like rooted deeply in the soil. Nothing that they say is going to even face me whatsoever. No objection, no questions, nothing is going to face me. I'm grounded deep in the soil. I'm certain and I'm stoic. That's super, super key in terms of your energy to show up in the right way. I lean out. I don't need anyone to buy. I have something that's great. I know I can help the person I'm speaking with, but I don't need anyone to buy. I'm leaned out and I'm detached from the sale. Like I said, I'm rooted in the soil. Nothing that they say is gonna like affect me. I'm not gonna get like mad or upset or emotional or anything. I'm rooted deep in the soil and it's very, very certain and still. Super important in terms of getting into the right state. I'm present. I listen to every single word that they say, okay? Super important for especially beginners if you're trying to get into high-ticket sales right now or you're like newer in high-ticket sales and closing. Be present. Meditation helps a lot with this. Just coming into every single sales call and being very, very present, hearing every single word the prospect says. The more in tune you can be with the person you're speaking with, the better your sales calls will be. If you can't detach yourself from the script and like having these exact like words that you're going to say, and instead just focusing more on the person and hearing their sub communication, like the words they're saying, but also like the meaning that's behind them. If you just get in touch and really just have all of your attention and focus on the person, you will automatically ask the right questions and your sales calls will become very, very efficient and very, very good as well. Listen to every single word they say and just go deeper. If you truly listen to what the person is saying and where you should take the call next will become obvious if you just have your attention fully focused on the person. Super, super key. I don't need anything. I'm detached, poised. This is a type of energy. I show up to a sales call not needing this person to buy whatsoever. A lot of beginner closers make the mistake of just being way too needy. You know, you move to the call, you pitch the program, and you get your first objection, and then right away your energy shifts. You know, the prospect can feel that you really, really want to close them, and that kind of turns them off. You know, so really embody this energy of like, I don't need this prospect to buy. I have this great thing, I have this great offer, I know I can help this person, but I'm detached. I don't need this person to buy. I'm just gonna get to the truth of if they're actually ready to overcome whatever is holding them back to get to where they want to go, if they're actually serious about making this transformation happen. That's it, okay? You don't need the person, you don't need them to buy. Super, super helpful to get into the right mind space. These things are stuff that every single time before a sales call I hop into, I look at these things just to get into the right state. Now we're gonna get into the actual sales process. So up here, this is what you will see. This is basically what I do before I drop the price. I want to make sure before I drop the price and I get into actually closing the prospect, that we have all these different beliefs in place. And this is something that I learned from a mentor that I had. His name is Cole Gordon. He teaches this framework, which basically what it is 7 beliefs. 7 different beliefs that a prospect needs to have in order to buy. If the prospect believes that, number 1, they have a pain, they have a problem that they need to solve. Number 2, they can't solve that problem on their own. They have doubt that they can't solve it on their own. They have a cost, aka they have a cost associated with not solving the problem. For example, they're overweight right now, and if they don't fix that within the next 2 years, they're gonna have serious health issues, or they're not gonna be able to shop for their kids like they want to do. There's a serious cost to staying with the current pain that they're experiencing. Desire, there's a desirability if they fix the problem. Money, they have the money to be able to actually invest in fixing the problem, and they're also willing to invest money to fix the problem. Support, they have support from like friends, family, maybe their spouse, maybe their partner in fixing the problem. And then trust. And what trust means is 3 different things. Number 1, that they trust in you, aka the salesperson. They trust in the actual process, the actual program that you're offering. And number 3, they trust in your company to be able to actually help them deliver on the results that they want. If your prospect has all these different 7 beliefs in place when you drop the price, you will close that person. There's not going to be any objections whatsoever. Every single objection you can get is going to be traced back to one of these things. If you can check all these boxes before you even get to the price, you will have objectionless closes. And this is exactly how I'm able to do my sales calls without getting any objections at the end of the call, because I'm checking out all these different things throughout the call in a very specific way I'm going to show you before we even get to the price drop. So let's get into how I actually do this. The process that I use is right here. So first off, when you hop on the call, first thing we do, pretty simple, very straightforward, is an intro. We hop on the call, and I see a lot of beginner closers make the mistake of sitting here for like 10 minutes, asking them about like, what's your favorite basketball team, and like, where are you based, and what's the weather out there. Don't make the mistake of seeming like an absolute beginner by spending like 10 minutes in the like intro part. This should be quick, straight to the point. Think about it like this: when you go to the doctor, does the doctor waste like 10 minutes just like talking about all these random things, or are they straight to the point? Straight to the point, okay? A lot of people think that if I sit there with the prospect and we find like common grounds between us, you know, like we're interested in the same sports team or we grew up in the same town, that they're gonna trust you more. That is not true, okay? The person is gonna trust you the most when you seem like an expert, because you ask good questions, you get to the problem quickly, you ask insightful questions, and you give them insight into why they're experiencing the problem, okay? When you go to the doctor, you start trusting the doctor because they're asking you these good questions. They're asking you, okay, are you feeling pain right here or right here? Or this is probably why you're experiencing pain. And they're giving you like an actual diagnosis to your problem. That's when you start trusting them, not because you grew up in the same place, okay? Same thing applies on your sales call. Be very, very quick when it comes to the intro here. What I will do, I will basically ask them one question. Hey man, how's your day been so far? You just coming out of work, or what's going on? Like, just like kind of check in with them, you know, like get on the same level, give them like a quick insight. Yeah, I'm just coming out of a call before this, excited to talk with you right now. Just quick, doesn't have to take more than 30 seconds. Hey man, what's going on? How's your day been so far? And you just tell them like, yeah, I was coming out of a call before this. I was just out for lunch. I was just at a workout. It was really good. Now I'm excited to speak with you. That's it. Doesn't have to be anything crazy. That's report right there. Next thing is setting the actual frames, basically letting the prospect know what's going to happen on the call, okay? This is especially important when you're talking to consumers that might not have had a lot of sales calls before. You just want to kind of let them know what's going to happen in the process, and that they're actually going to get what they came to get on the call, which is more information about the offer. So basically what I would say here is, so really what I want to do on this call is just get a bit better context about kind of like where you're at, what type of goals you have, what type of challenges you've been facing so far in terms of getting there. Just see if I can really like help you out with what we do on our end. And if things make sense, if it's in alignment with what we do and we can really help you out, I'm happy to walk you through more like a customized game plan of what it's going to look like for you specifically, answer all the questions, and walk you through how you can get started with it. Is that cool? Cool. That's it. Super simple frame. Don't overdo this stuff. Keep it simple, keep it straight to the point, and focus on building rapport by just having a good discovery part of the call, the information gathering part of the call, okay? When we move into the next part, which is information gathering, the goal here is basically, number one, understanding their desired situation, like what does this person actually want? What is the end goal of them? And then we want to assign a couple of different things to that. We want to figure out exactly what their ultimate goal is, like what the end goal, what the long-term vision is, what their monetary goals, basically assign a number, like how much money does this person want to be making. That could also be like a dream weight or a dream partner. You can assign different types of like numbers. It doesn't have to be specifically money, but in this example, is to keep it simple. We're going to keep this for like a business opportunity offer. So like how to, so an offer basically teaching people how to make money online and get to their first, let's say 10K a month online and replace their 9 to 5, which is one of the main offers in this industry. Okay. So we want to get a number of how much actually want to be making. Long-term vision is figuring out what the bigger term vision is, like what they actually want to achieve other than just like the money, and then non-monetary. So these things kind of overlap, as you can see. So just to give you some examples here, what this could be, the ultimate goal could be for someone to replace their 9 to 5 and be able to not work 9 to 5, 45 hours per week anymore, be able to travel, be able to be with their kids more, and they would need to make, let's say, $8,000 per month to be able to do that. The long-term vision is to eventually have their own like family business, let's say, that they want to pass on to their kids, make sure their kids can have a good future. And the non-monetary goal for them is, again, basically just to have freedom, be able to travel, be able to like not be in a 9 to 5, things like that. When you have these different things, when you know the monetary goal, the long-term goal, and the non-monetary goal, and like the ultimate like North Star of what they want, in this example, that would be getting out of the 9 to 5. That's really the first thing we want to figure out in the information gathering, is getting very, very clear on what the person actually wants, what the desired situation is. Once we know that, we can work backwards into the current situation, okay? A lot of sales coaches will tell you that you should always start off with the current situation first in your information gathering, and that can definitely work. But if it's a call with a B2C type of prospect, we're talking to someone that's like a consumer that's looking to get out of the 9 to 5, for example, a lot of times they don't actually know what the problem is, you know? They don't actually know what the issue is. So if you start digging in through figuring out like what they're struggling with right now, etc., it's going to be very hard for you to like diagnose them because they don't even know what their problem is themselves, you know? So it's way better to start off with the desired situation right away. You will get a clear like North Star of what the person wants, and you can just kind of backtrack and work yourself from that and figure out like how far away are you from that goal right now. It's way easier with B2C prospect because they don't actually know what the problem is themselves. Otherwise, they wouldn't be on the call a lot of times. So it's just going to save you a lot of headache, make it easier for yourself, and allow you to get faster to the actual real problem if you start off with like what do they want instead of what's the problem right now. Okay. If this would have been a B2B call, then I recommend starting with the current situation, because business owners, they usually know what their bottleneck is, whereas consumers, they typically don't know what it is. Okay. So now that it comes time to actually dig into the current situation, number one is just uncover their reason for change. Okay. So by this time, it's probably gonna be pretty obvious what this person wants. If it's more freedom, if it's more income, if it's more flexibility, whatever it is. We just want to go deeper on that, okay? So let's say, for example, is someone who just wants to make more money, okay? So let's say this person he's looking to make 10K per month online, be able to travel, etc. Okay, got it. So how far away are we from that number right now? How far away from 10K are we right now? We want to develop that gap, you know? Right now I'm making 2K per month, I want to make 10K per month. Great, and we have a gap there. Right now I weigh 250 pounds, I want to weigh 200 pounds, you know? Clear gap in between there. We want to figure that out, exactly what their current situation actually looks like. And then we do these things I mentioned before. We want to make sure that the doubt is there. We want to make sure that this person feels like they can't figure this out on their own. We want to figure out what type of solutions they've been looking into, if we need to eliminate other potential bridges, like other solutions. Let's say they're looking at a drop shipping program and looking at doing trading and looking at doing a marketing agency. We want to figure that out. We want to know what like the other things that they're doing to fix their problem, so we can eliminate those other potential bridges from their current to their desired situation and really sell them on our solution. Okay. And then we want to do cost and why now questions. We want to figure out how much action has this person actually taken so far to get to their goal, and really dig into and get them to understand the cost of them not making change. Why now they actually want to make change and overcome any limiting beliefs, fear, etc. that's holding this person, or that's been holding this person back from taking action. If we do all these different things in the current situation part of the call, we will get this prospect to a stage where they have a lot of urgency and they're ready to actually take action to make change. And that's when we eventually get into the pitch. And then sometimes, not on every single call, but sometimes you will ask them about the support question, is figure out if they have like a spouse involved, especially if it's more like a feminine type of energy, like a woman you're talking to. You want to figure out if they have like a If they have a spouse that should be involved in the conversation, etc. Maybe their husband is like providing for the household, maybe she's not working. You want to figure it out so you don't get that objection come back up at the end, you know? So once we covered all these different things, we've finished the information gathering part of the call, we built urgency, and we've checked off a lot of potential objections and eliminated them before even getting to the pitch. Next thing is just about building the trust in our solution and customizing our pitch to exactly what their problem is, and also the things they've tried in the past, okay? Before moving into the pitch, we need to actually do a transition. So wrap up discovery, pre-pitch, and where do we go from here? Okay, first off, wrap up discovery. Basically what that's gonna sound like is something like this. Cool, man, so I don't feel like I have any more questions. Makes a lot of sense about like where you're at, type of goals you have, what you're looking for help with, and we can definitely help you with this as well. So I have some insights and some thoughts I wanna share with you if you're open to it. That's it. That's just you wrapping up discovery, letting them know that you don't have any more questions and that you feel like you can definitely help them, and that you have some thoughts. Basically, it's getting permission to share your thoughts. Then we move into what I call a pre-pitch. Basically, what you want to do here, I can make an entire new video about the pre-pitch. It's a massive thing that I use in my sales calls to bump up my closing rate to 50 to 60% plus, even on like ice cold prospects. Basically what this is a method that I use on my sales calls to sell the prospect on our method of success, okay? So let's say you're selling a coaching program that teaches people how to make money and how to make their first 10K a month with dropshipping, as an example, okay? You want to sell the person on dropshipping being the best and the most efficient and the most fast and the most smart vehicle for them to go from where they are to their goal before you pitch the program, okay? If you make that sale on your sales call, pretty much everyone will buy, okay? If you get people to buy into your method of success before pitching the program, you'll make a lot of sales and your closing rate will skyrocket as a closer, okay? Every single sales call, I always just want to make sure that before I pitch our program, I get the person bought in on the actual method to success. Because here's the thing, especially nowadays when there's hundreds of different like business opportunities, you know, everything from like starting all kinds of different businesses, you know, like TikTok shop, trading, like all these different things you can be doing to make your first 10K a month online. The reason why people are not buying from you, most likely right now, it's not because they don't like your program and the coaching that you offer. It's just because they're not sure that your path and doing your business model is the best thing for them to go from where they are to their goal. So that's what you need to do before you talk about your program. You need to get them 100% bought in that your path to success. Let's say you're selling like a diet coaching offer, like a health coaching offer, that the keto diet, for example, or like the vegan diet or the carnivore diet, whatever you're teaching, you know, is the best path for them to get from where they are to their goal. That's what the pre-pitch is all about. So I ask specific questions and give some like analogies, some personal stories and some client stories in this section right here to really get them fully bought in that our method to success is the best path for them to take, and getting them to realize why all other paths are not as good as what we teach, you know? And then once I've done that, I tell them like, so that's kind of my thoughts for you, and we can definitely help you when it comes to actually getting into this and going from where you are to where you want to go. Obviously, you would input their current situation and their goal. So now it's kind of up to you, man. Where do you want to go from here? Okay, you give them back control. You let them tell you like, yeah, I want to hear about your program. I want to hear what you guys do. Okay. And then you pitch. You want them to ask you to get pitched. You don't want to be like, yeah, so do you want to know what we do? I would rather just have them tell me, like, I want to hear your pitch. I want to hear what you guys do, basically. So that's kind of why we like give them back control. Where do you want to go from here? Yeah, I want to hear about your program. Cool. We get into the pitch. The pitch, it's basically just 3 different things we want to do here. So first off, give them a high level promise. Tell them what the entire program is about. So it can basically just be like this. So really what this is all about, what we do, it's very custom what we do in terms of our coaching program. It's basically 3 different steps that we go through to take you from where you are right now, working this 9 to 5, making 2K a month, getting that freedom that you're looking for, getting you out of the 9 to 5, allowing you to make your first 10K a month online so you can start traveling. It's going to be about a 90-day journey to get you there in 3 different phases. And then you move them through those 3 different pillars. You want to break down whatever offer you're selling into 3 different steps to success, okay? This could be in a diet coaching offer. It could be number 1, we want to evaluate your starting point and see exactly what you're struggling with right now, create a customized plan for you. Step 2 is going to be holding you accountable to that plan. And then step number 3 is going to be creating like a long-term implementation once you're actually seeing the first results. If it's a make money online offer, it could be like number 1 is building out your skill set and learn the skills of sales. Number 2 is finding an actual business to go work for. And number 3 is making sure you perform at the business, okay? Whatever offer you're selling, break it down into 3 different kind of steps to success and think about it as like 3 stages to their journey, basically, of going from where they are to the goal. And that's how you should pitch it, as like 3 different stages of first month, second month, and third month, for example. If you pitch that way, they will be able to visualize it themselves. The prospect can feel it in their own head. They can see it in their own head of what it's going to look like when they start working with you, which makes them more certain about your solution being the right thing. This is going to increase your closing rate a lot if you do this. And then once you've done that, once you explain the entire journey, then you get into the actual deliverables of what they actually get from working with you. You know, like the amount of coaching calls, the course that they will get, the one-on-one access, all that stuff. You explain that afterwards. Okay. Once you've done this, once you've done the pitch, you want to get into what we call the committing phase. A lot of people miss this, which is why you're struggling at the end of your call to close deals, and you're getting like 50 different objections and not knowing where people are not buying from you, because you're missing this part right here. After you pitch, you need to always make sure that the person is confident about the program. We need to get 100% certainty that the prospect feels like your solution and your program, everything that we talked about up until this point, is the right thing for them to do. Okay. So the way we do this is by doing what we call a temp check. So after you presented the program, you ask them, okay, either number one, how do you feel about the program? More like a brief, vague question. Or number two, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being you hate the program, 10 being this is the best thing you ever heard, and you feel like this is exactly what you need to go from X, Y, and Z to X, Y, and Z situation. Where do you feel like you fall right now in terms of this program actually getting you to where you want to go? Okay. You ask them that, get the confidence from that they're actually certain about your program. Once you've gotten like a 8, 8.5 or higher, that they're actually confident about it and they motivated you why they're confident, then you move into the next steps. This is super crucial. If you miss this part, it's going to be very hard to handle objections. If you do this, way easier, because if you do this correctly, the only objection you will get after presenting price is typically yes, logistics, just like money if they can't afford it, or a bit of fear. That's it. And it's way easier to handle compared to if they're like unsure and they have questions or uncertainty about the program after you give them the price. So super key to always do this before you present price. Then you want to give them next steps before you drop the price. This is super important. If you just give someone the price without telling them the next steps, they're going to feel like they're jumping off a cliff when they're buying your program, and they're going to be more scared towards getting that first step, you know? So you want to tell them like what's going to happen after they pay you, just to put them at ease, make them feel more comfortable with actually starting to work with you and paying you that money, okay? So tell them like, yes, what's going to happen is first off, we take care of the investment, then we'll get you access to our platform, then you will have your first onboarding call with your coach, etc. And then you will start working right away and start working towards your X, Y, and Z goal down the road. Then we give them the investment. So the investment to work with us is just $10,000. That's it. And then you shut up, okay? You say the price and you be quiet and you let them speak. Super important thing that a lot of people just get wrong because they're nervous. You shut up and you let them say whatever they say. And at this point, it's super, super key, like we talked about before. You need to be the oak tree. You need to be relaxed, detached. Whatever they tell you, whatever objection they come with, think for yourself, like they're probably going to have an objection. Expect the objection to come and don't change your state, whatever you do. Don't become mad or irritated or annoyed with them giving an objection. Just be still, relaxed, leaned out, and just handle whatever they say with like almost excitement, you know? And then realize there's 3 different objections you can get on a sales call. So hopefully at this point, you've executed everything that I just showed you in this video, and you're not going to get any objections in most cases. Be able to just take the payment, close them, get that commission paid to your bank account. But if you get an objection, it's always going to stem back to one of these 3 things right here. Uncertainty, which can be that they're unsure about the program, they're unsure about now being the right time to start the program, or they're just scared, scared of spending the money, or scared of like trying something, like what if it doesn't work, things that's going to be the first thing. Secondly, here we have these more logistical type of objections, which is either that they actually need to speak with their partner, which is most of the time when you get a spouse objection, it's not actually a need. They just want to like externalize responsibility on their partner, which is actually uncertainty. They're actually just unsure about it themselves. You just need to bring up their certainty on the program. But in some cases, it's actually logistical. They need to talk with their spouse because otherwise they're gonna they can't afford it on their own, or their spouse is gonna get pissed if they spend the money they have like common finances, etc. So in some cases, actually they need to talk with their partner before doing it, but it's very rare. Most of the cases you can actually handle it by just going into uncertainty. Finances, if they physically can't do it, you need to figure out like a payment plan in order for them to be able to afford it. You figure these things out, and very important note here is there's a reason why we handle uncertainty before we handle finances, spouse, and partner, okay? Because you can never handle logistical objections while talking to a prospect that's uncertain about the program now being the right time, or they have fear, okay? We need to get them to a point where they're 100% sure they want to do the program, and it's just the money, or it's just talking to their husband and getting them on board, or their wife, whatever it is. We need to get them to that point before we can actually handle these objections. Because otherwise, if we move into handling building out like a payment plan, or handling the finances, or handling a spouse objection when the person's actually uncertain about the program, we're not going to close them when we overcome that objection, okay? There's still going to be more stuff that's going to come back up, and we're going to get like 10 different objections. It's going to be very, very hard to close. We're probably going to lose the deal, okay? So you want to handle uncertainty first. Make sure that we're 100% bought in. They want to do the program. Now is the right time. There's nothing holding them back from starting, other than just talking to their spouse, getting them on board, or getting the finances sorted out. And then we move into handling that, and then we close the deal. If you do this in the right order, closing becomes way easier. A lot of times I see beginners lose deals because they don't do this in the right order. They start handling a spouse objection when the prospect is actually just uncertain, and then they end up just like staying in this loop, and they end up having calls just go off to Pluto and end up not closing the deal because he just did it in the wrong order. So make sure you do this in the right order. Uncertainty first, then you do the logistical stuff, and then you end up closing the deal. So there you go. That's the entire framework that I use on my sales calls to close at over 50% and make multiple six figures. So I've taken thousands of sales calls, closed over $3 million as a high ticket closer, and also worked with some of the biggest names in the online industry and been their top closer on 8-figure sales teams. And doing so, I figured out a framework to literally never get objections at the end of my sales calls. And I know this might sound crazy because you're probably used to getting like, I need to think about it, I need to talk to my spouse, I need to sleep on it, I'm scared, I can't afford it. But this framework that I figured out after doing this for about 3 years now has allowed me to literally never get these objections at the end of my sales calls. And in this video, I want to break down exactly how I'm able to do that. So you can just copy me, do the same thing, because I absolutely hate getting to the end of the call, dropping the price, and then getting someone tell you that I need to think about it, So that's why I figured out this framework, and that's why I'm sharing this with you as well, because I want you to be able to close more deals, make more money as a closer, break past 10K a month, get more freedom, be able to kind of achieve the life that you got into closing to get to begin with, So let's get into this. First thing I need you to understand before I get into the specific like word tracks and like what to actually say and how to actually like implement this on your calls is that the reason why you're getting objections to begin with, the reason why you're getting I need to think about it, people that drop off the call, people that need to talk to their partner, like everything in sales is all about building certainty, The person obviously needs to think that your coaching program, your consulting package, whatever you're selling, they need to feel like that's the exact thing that they need to get into to fix their problem and get to where they want to go. That's pretty basic sales stuff. The thing is though, like even if you have that certainty, even if someone knows that okay, this is the right thing for me to do, this coaching program, I truly believe this can get me to where I want to go. A lot of times, the reason why people are still not buying from you, why you're still not closing sales, is because of fear. That's the biggest reason that I've seen by far. I've worked with hundreds of guys, coached hundreds of closers in this space, and taken so many calls myself. And the biggest reason why I didn't close more deals in the past, why people in general struggle in high ticket sales, is because they have conversations with prospects where the prospect feels like, okay, this coaching program, logically, it makes sense, Logically, I can see if I invest in this fitness coaching program or this business opportunity program or this consulting package, how it's going to allow me to get to my goal. But it's my first time investing into coaching. I never invested more than 1K into coaching before, or never bought an online course or a coaching program mentorship before. So I'm scared to make that investment, That's the biggest thing by far. People are scared, they're skeptical, or they have some other limiting beliefs that's holding them back. And what usually happens on your sales calls right now, what used to happen to me before I figured this framework out, I would run for a sales call, everything would go great. In my head, I was like, everything is going perfect. I'm getting the pain, I'm getting their goals, I'm figuring everything out, getting super deep, getting into almost start crying on the call. Everything goes well on the call. You're doing your job on the call. You pitch the program, you drop the price, and then what happens? They completely shift. It seems like you're talking to a different person. They just told you how urgent this is for them, how much they want to do this, how good of a fit your program is, how much pain they're in. You drop the price, and all of a sudden they're looking for all these ways to just get off the call and not invest. That happens all the time. It used to happen to me literally all the time before I figured out this framework. And if it's happening to you right now, you're making one simple mistake, and it's a pretty simple thing to fix, which is the good news. And how to actually do it, how to actually fix this. What you need to do is you need to start pre-handling objections. You need to start pre-handling the very thing that's been holding this person back from getting to their goal. You need to do that before you even pitch them. Because here's the thing, most people, and this is going to kind of click for you when I tell you this, most people go around in their entire lives, they have these goals, most people are pretty self-aware of the fact that they have goals, they have things that they're striving towards, maybe they want to lose weight, maybe they're not happy with their current income, whatever it is, But there's some type of block that's been holding them back from fixing this, from getting these results that they want for themselves. So to give an example, let's say you're on a sales call with someone that's looking to start their first business, looking to become like an entrepreneur. They want to get out of the 9 to 5. They want to have more time with their family, with their kids, and things like that. Okay. A lot of times, what's going to happen is like this person's been aware of them wanting to make change for maybe like 2 years. You know, they've been wanting to make changes and do something else with their life for a long time. But they haven't taken action because of, for example, they've been scared. They've been scared of, what if I get scammed? What if I try something, I buy an online course or I start a business, it doesn't work out? Fear of taking risk, fear of taking action, you know, fear of failure. Or they're just like skeptical about the online space. There's usually some of these like mental blocks that they have in place that you need to uncover. And the reason why you're not closing more deals right now is, even if you have certainty on the program and they feel like it's the right solution for them, if you don't overcome the fear and these like limiting beliefs that people have, these like mental blocks, they're not going to buy. What's going to happen is they're going to hop on the sales call with you and they're going to repeat the exact same pattern that they've been doing for the last, whatever it is, 6 months, 2 years, 4, 5, even 10 years sometimes, you know? This used to happen to me all the time, where I would hop on a sales call, I would talk with someone, have a great conversation, get an end of the call, and then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, this sounds good, but I just need to like go back and do more research. And I started seeing this pattern. I started noticing like these people, like we're having great conversations, but I'm always like getting these objections at the end, you know, like what could I start doing to prevent this from happening? And that's when I realized, like, if I just started doing these kind of extra add-ons to my discovery in the beginning of my call, before I pitch, I started digging into what's been holding you back from achieving your goals so far and getting very deep into that in a specific like word track in a specific way. I'm going to give you exactly what to say in a second. But when I started realizing, okay, I need to like pre-handle this stuff early in my calls, that's when I stopped getting these objections, you know? Instead of getting to the end of the call, having a perfect call, and then having them like, yeah, this is great, Alex, but I need to do more research. This is great, Alex, but I'm not really sure if I'm ready to take action. I'm scared to take action. Or them just dropping off the call and things like that. Instead of doing that, getting that at the end of the call, I started handling that earlier. So basically what I started doing is I started getting into very specific numbers, specific details about what they've been doing so far to fix their problems. So not just like the basic stuff of like, yeah, have you looked at any coaching programs before? Have you taken action on like getting help to lose weight before? Not that, just like basic stuff, you know? If we take like a fitness coaching program, for example, or like a business opportunity coaching program, what I would do is I would run through my discovery, get their goals, their pains, what they've been trying so far, and then get very, very specific. Okay, I would ask them specifically, okay, got it. So you've been wanting to make these changes now for, you said, about 2 years. You've been wanting to like increase your income. During these last 2 years, what exactly have you been doing so far to put yourself in a position where you can actually have the freedom that you want? I would ask them that, get very specific. You know, if someone tells you, most people are going to give like a vague answer of like, yeah, I haven't really done too much. I've been like researching and I've tried a couple of different businesses, you know? I don't stay there. We go deeper. We need to get extremely specific about exactly what they've tried, because that's the ammo that we're going to use to then ask a very powerful question here. So what we do is we figure out exactly what they've been doing. Okay, let's say they've been trying a business. What does that mean? Has he actually like bought a coaching program? Has he actually taken action? Has he been researching? What exactly has he been doing, you know? Has he been like looking at weight loss coaching programs and like kind of half-assing some stuff, or has he actually committed something in the past? Because if we get deep and like actually get the details, get very specific about what they've done so far, it will become obvious why this person is not going to buy potentially, you know, like what his objection is going to be basically. A lot of times what you're going to figure out is that you're going to talk with someone that's like, let's say they want to make more money online, you know, they want to like change their life, get out of a 9 to 5, you know. You would ask them some couple of questions, like what have you been doing so far? Yeah, I've been doing research. Okay, cool. Have you taken action on anything? No. Okay, why haven't you been taking action? Yeah, I've just been like very skeptical, or I've been scared of like, what if I try something and it doesn't work out? Boom, that's gonna be the objection. So you need to dig into that and figure out, okay, so you're talking about like fear of failure. Is that kind of what you mean? Yeah, exactly. Okay. So like, what's kind of like your mindset around that? Like, do you feel like fear of failure has been like the main thing that's been holding you back in that case from actually like achieving these goals? Get the agreement? Yeah, it's been okay, cool. And then give them a bit of like a reframe. Yeah, I hear that from a lot of people. A lot of people that come to us, they have fear holding them back usually from achieving their goals. But usually what we see also is like for you to be able to get from X, Y, and Z situation, like your current situation, to where you want to go, that usually requires you stepping into fear and doing things that might not be comfortable and certain, and kind of taking a bit of risk to get there as well. So just see if we can actually help you out at this point. Like, what's your mindset around this? Like, do you feel like you're actually ready to kind of overcome this fear and like do things differently? Or you feel like you're kind of fine with just continue letting that hold you back from achieving your goals? That's what you need to get to. And that's when you get that commitment from them, like, hey Alex, I'm ready to overcome this thing, fear, skepticism, whatever it's been that's been holding me back from getting to my goal. That's when you have these absolute laid down sales at the end of the call, when they just buy, because you overcome all the objections, all the obstacles. So this is the framework of how to do it. You can apply this for any industry, any type of offer that you're selling, whether it's fitness, whether it's like a business opportunity, whether it's like more B2B type of sales. You just need to figure out exactly what they've been doing so far, why they haven't been able to get the results. So some examples could be they haven't actually taken action so far because of fear, because of skepticism. They've taken action, but they've done things the wrong way. And they just need to position what you guys do as a different thing from what they've done so far. And basically just help them see how this is going to be different from everything else they tried in the past and why everything else hasn't worked out for them. You just need to help them make that distinguishment between what you guys do and what they've tried before. And if they're like really like a heavy action taker, like they're doing stuff actively and they have been like investing, committing and things like that, they just need to get really clear on like what's actually driving them. Like, why is this so important to them to keep committing, and then also getting their actual agreement that they're ready to keep trying stuff, that they haven't just like given up, all of a sudden. This is the framework. If you do this correctly on your sales calls, you will get to the end of your call. Obviously, you need to do the pitch, get the paying, get the goals, all that stuff as well. That's like obvious, basic stuff. But if you do this correctly on your sales calls, you will get to the end, you will drop the price, and people will just buy because you already handled their objections earlier in the call. So it wouldn't make sense for them to like bring back up like how scared they are or how skeptical they are when you already handled that earlier in the call. So it's extremely, extremely powerful. If you use this on your sales calls, it's going to allow you to literally 2x your closing rate a lot of times. And most importantly, not get to the end of your calls and have annoying objections, get people that want to like back out, just like change completely their personality and just book follow-up calls, get people that ghost you and like all that annoying stuff. I've experienced it, and obviously you don't want that for yourself. It's also going to make your calls way shorter. It has never been easier to land a high-ticket sales job where you can make $100,000 per year or more. I did this myself, and I landed a role for an 8-figure entrepreneur, someone that you probably know about, where I've been making over $20,000 per month in commissions. And the way to do it is not by spamming out hundreds of super needy messages to influencers that will never even see your application. Instead, I'm going to give you 3 simple ways to stand out, skip the line, and actually get hired for a good high-ticket sales role in 7 days. If you have any specific questions or need help with this, feel free to message me on Instagram or book a call with me down below this video to speak with me directly. Now let's get into this. And first off, I want to share with you why I struggled to land remote sales roles in the beginning and why 99% of people never actually land a good first high-ticket sales role. And that all comes down to just approaching the whole job landing process in the completely wrong way. So here's what I mean. What I used to do in the beginning is I would go out onto Facebook groups, because that's what most high-ticket sales mentors will tell you to do. Go on Facebook groups, join 20 different groups, blast out outreach, and also send out these like copy and paste messages on Instagram, and just focus on the numbers, just to as many people as possible, and you will land your role. That's what I did. I did this for a long time, and I struggled a lot with landing my first role doing this. I literally got no replies whatsoever, and whenever I got a reply from someone from a Facebook group or from a DM, it would always be someone asking me to pay money to go work for them, which is obviously a massive red flag and not something that you should be doing whatsoever, So I was just like in this hamster wheel, struggling, putting in hours every single day, trying to land these roles, couldn't figure it out, was stuck. And the big problem that I was facing is at the same time, I was in a phase where I had a lot of pressure from my family to figure my life out. I was still living with my parents back in Sweden, started getting closer to the time where I was supposed to either go into university, get a job, or like figure my stuff out, because I've been trying this whole like entrepreneurship thing for over 2 years at that point. Hadn't figured out, couldn't succeed in actually making my first like 5-10K a month online. And my parents were starting to kind of like doubt me, and I started running out of savings as well. So I got to a point where like I had to desperately get a remote sales job, start making money, and like actually figure my stuff out, or else I would be kind of forced to go into a 9 to 5 or go into college, which I really didn't want to do. So as you can probably understand, like I was really stressed, I was like having all this pressure externally, also internally, because I wanted to like figure my stuff out and actually start making money online after like all these years of trying so. And I couldn't make it work. I didn't see any responses, didn't see any positive feedback until I made 2 specific changes to my approach of doing outreach. I made 2 specific changes, and that allowed me to eventually land my first role and eventually allowed me to completely change my life. Now I make multiple 6 figures per year. I can travel. I left my parents' house multiple years ago. And all this came down to 2 changes that I made, and I've also made this into a system that I teach inside of my one-on-one coaching to my students. It's helped over 100 guys land remote sales roles in as little as 1 to 2 weeks without any experience. And what these 2 changes were that changed everything for me and allowed me to land a role very quickly. When you know what defines a good business to go work for, it becomes easy to know where you can actually find those businesses. Because here's the thing, a good business to work for, what are they gonna have? They're always gonna have a good amount of marketing going, A good high-ticket sales role will have a consistent amount of leads, so like new potential customers, for you as a sales rep to speak with on a daily basis. How do these companies actually get these leads? Is by running ads or making content, If we know that to be true, that gives us kind of like a hint of where we could find these people, We want to figure out who is advertising their services, their coaching program right now, okay? And the way we can figure it out is if you go on Meta Ads Library, that's a website by Facebook. We can publicly see who is running ads on Facebook and Instagram. If you go on there, you can actually see exactly who is running ads, what they're saying in their ads, what they're selling. You can see everything on there. So that's what I started doing. I realized, okay, if I find companies that are running ads in a niche that I'm interested in, they're spending money on advertising, which means that they're probably like making a profit from that. Because they're spending money on ads, they're getting consistent leads. They're getting a good amount of people to speak with, which means that I could actually make money if I go work for them. And they're running like an active offer that's actually like working because they're spending money on ads right now. It's not something that's like that was active like a year ago. It's actually going on right now, and they're probably looking for sales reps that are good as well. When I understood this and I went on Meta Ads Library, I started searching for different keywords. I was interested in, for example, working for a fitness coach, working for like a make money online offer. So I started searching for these different keywords. 10K per month online, drop shipping, trading, different like diets, like keto diet, carnivore diet. So I started searching for these keywords on Meta Ads Library. And I started seeing these businesses, that were selling high ticket offers. I can see them having these ads, directing people to a landing page where people can book a call with their sales team. And then I started reaching out to these people, And doing this, it literally gave me an abundance of good roles. Instead of blasting out outreach to these companies that never responded or getting like scammy replies, I was able to direct my outreach only towards companies that were actually good to work with. And my response rate got way higher. And everyone that I was speaking with was already qualified, more or less, for me to go and work with as well. It's 2 different platforms. And if you know anything about the online space, you probably heard about either School, which is Alex Hormozi and Sam Ovens' platform, or about WOP, which is a platform that Iman Gadzi recently invested into. These are the platforms where most good high-ticket sales offers are hosted upon, okay? So knowing that to be true, that also means that you can literally find an abundance of roles also on these platforms, because they're new, they're growing. Pretty much all high-ticket sales offers are moving to one of those 2 platforms. So if you go on there, if you go on School, if you go on WOP, they have these like marketplaces and these like discovery sections on both of those different platforms where you can literally go and search and find a bunch of people that have high-ticket offers. And if you go on there and you scroll around, you will find so many people to reach out to. So that's an extremely powerful way. That's what I taught another one of my students. His name was John. He came in with no sales experience, 18 years old, helped him land a role in 5 days by using the School outreach method. It's extremely powerful. And basically how it works, you want to go either on Meta Ads Library or you want to go on School or on WOP. That's where you find good offers to go and apply for. And then you want to get people's email address by finding their YouTube page, find their Instagram, and then reach out to them with personalized outreach. Send out personalized Loom videos where you're talking directly to them. You need to be a real human being and show your energy, talk about why you want to work with them, and basically it's like sell yourself to the business. The more genuine, the more real, and like just good energy you can have, the more likely you are to land those roles. Because at the end of the day, these strategies all work, and doing direct outreach is very, very powerful. But another strategy that I've used recently that's been working extremely well for a lot of my students as well is using networking. One of the oldest principles has been around for forever, but most people forget about this. If you use networking in the right way, you can literally get an abundance of roles sent to you without even doing outreach. So how do you do that? You basically start going on Instagram. Instead of going for the business owner, which is usually very hard to get responses from, you want to go for these like lower level people in the business, the sales manager, the closers, even the appointment setters in the business. Start networking with those people, you know. Give them compliments, give them praise, ask them simple questions about what's going on, and just let them know in a nice, gentle, like non-pushy way that you're an appointment setter or a closer looking for a role. If you do this for the next couple of weeks, you will start eventually getting your name out there. These people will find out about who you are, and if you combine this with posting some like sales content on your Instagram and treating that almost like a resume, you will eventually start getting roles sent to you from these people. That's extremely, extremely powerful. It almost gets you to a point where you become like a hot girl, you know, on Instagram. That's something I teach my students. That's how they land very, very good roles, where they can literally like sit and pick and choose from different offers. I'm gonna show you exactly how to handle these objections in a way that's more simple than really like anything else I've seen online. If you look at Alex Hermosi, Jeremy Miner, Cole Gordon, like all these different sales coaches online, I'm going to give you a simpler way than anything that you've ever heard about online before. A simple way of looking at objections to basically make it easy for yourself to handle objections, you know, because objection handling, it can seem like this kind of like hard and like difficult thing if you don't know what you're doing. That's what I experienced when I got into sales to begin with. Then I figured out this framework that I'm going to show in this video, and it made closing easy, like handling objections. It made it fairly easy, you know, when you just know how to think about objection handling and like what things actually matters versus what things doesn't matter. It becomes very simple to close prospects at end of your sales calls. So if you're someone who's looking to get into remote high ticket sales and get into high ticket closing, or if you're already a high ticket closer right now and you're not closing at 40-50% yet, this can be extremely valuable. I'm going to show you everything. So let's get into it straight away. And the first thing I want you to understand before we get into these objections and actually like handling these objections, I need you to understand what sales is all about. If we take a step back and just look at high ticket sales, high ticket closing, what this is all about, what sales is all about, it's all about transferring certainty. Okay, so transferring certainty from you as a salesperson, knowing the program, knowing that you can help the prospect that you're talking with, transferring that certainty that you have inside of you over to them. They need to feel as confident as you feel that this program is going to be the right thing for them, and it's going to get them from where they are to their goal. Okay, so keep that in mind. That's going to be super important to have that in mind throughout this entire objection handling process, because if the prospect truly feels like what you're selling, whatever coaching program, high ticket service, whatever it is that you're selling, is exactly what they need to do to fix their problem and get to where they want to go, it's a no-brainer to buy. And most of these objections just become irrelevant as a result of that. So that should always be your main focus. All of these objections right here, if the prospect just gets more certain, if they get to like an 8, 9, or 10 out of 10 on a scale of 1 to 10, that your program is exactly what they should do, most objections become completely irrelevant. So that should be your frame of looking at objections. When you get to the end of the call, your first priority is making sure that whatever they say, whatever they tell you, if it's I need to think about it, I need to talk to my dog, I need to talk to my wife, my husband, whatever it is, it's too expensive, I need to talk to my parents, transfer money, meditate on it, I have to wait a couple of months, whatever you get. I've heard all kinds of objections, you know, like the crazy shit you can imagine. Whatever you get at the end of the call, your first top priority needs to be to make sure that this guy or this woman, whoever you're speaking with, your prospect, is 100% bought in that this solution, aka like your program, is the perfect thing that they need to do that's going to get them from where they are to their goal. Okay, so when you keep coming back to that, that's super important to have that in mind. It's all about just like getting them higher up on that scale. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that, exactly how to make this happen, like what to say and things like that. But just keep that in mind. It's all about just getting them higher up on that certainty scale. I'll even write this down because this is super important. Objection handling and really sales overall is all about bringing up the certainty for the prospect. Move this. There you go. Cool. So in terms of how to actually handle these objections, knowing this to be true, that everything really becomes, like most objections become irrelevant if the prospect is certain, that also means that our first party, whatever they say after we drop the price, you tell them, okay, the price is going to be $5,000 for the coaching program. They tell you, okay, sounds good. Alex, I just need to think about it. Cool. No worries at all. So first off, you agree with them. You don't start like fighting straight away and like get into like a boxing match of like trying to like strong arm them into buying. Cool. No worries. It's also important how you say this. You need to have a very detached tonality, you know? So stay with me now because I'm going to handle this objection. So first thing you need to do, basically just diffuse, you know, so like diffuse the pressure, because they immediately going to feel like, okay, I'm going to tell this guy that I want to think about it. And he's probably a sales guy, so he's probably going to like push me into buying, you know? So if your first way of, if you react to them saying I need to think about it, with you getting mad or like frustrated, they're going to be turned off. You're probably going to like drop off the call, or you're not going to close the deal because they're going to have like their defenses up, you know? So you need to be very like relaxed, chill, like physically, literally lean out. That's what I would do in my calls. No worries, man. That's all good. That's a lot of people feel like they need to think about it. It's a big decision. So that's totally fine. No worries at all. I guess I'm just curious because what's really important on our end is just alignment between like us and you. I want to make sure that everyone that comes in here is actually like they believe in the process, so we can actually help them properly and get good results. That's important for us and the founder. So I guess, yes, I can stay organized on my end. Like, other than you need to think about it, like, how do you feel about the process specifically? Like everything that we covered on this call, do you feel like this is exactly what you need to go from their current situation, let's say working a 9 to 5 that you don't like, to having freedom, spending more time with your kids, and being able to travel? Or how do you feel? First question, you see what I did there? Basically, just making sure that they're certain on the program. So making sure that we have this certainty on the actual program that we're offering. That's the first thing we do. First part is number one, make sure that they're certain on the program before we even handle the objections. Because a lot of times, you guys, the reason why you don't close deals, the reason why I used to struggle with objection handling in the beginning, is because you handle this thing as like you handle it like face on, like you just take this as the objection that they didn't think about. And you're like, no, you shouldn't think about it. You should make quick decisions. You shouldn't be waiting 24 hours. You already been waiting for like 2 months. You should take action now, you know? When in reality, this might not actually be the real objection. Because again, I said before, if the person is certain that the program is the right thing for them to do and it's a solution for them, these things become irrelevant. Why would you wait to do something that you know is the right solution? Why would you say it's expensive to invest in a coaching program if you truly believe that the coaching program is going to get you to twice your current income? Why would you meditate or pray or need to go talk with someone else if you truly believe like 100% is the right solution? It's like all this, again, we're going to come back to this, it becomes irrelevant if you truly get them certain about it. So that's why the first thing we do, whatever they tell you, you put it aside. Okay, you need to think about it. Cool, no worries. Other than that, how do you feel about the process? Do you feel like this is exactly what you need? And they tell you, so you ask them first, put their objection to the side. Verify if they, let me make myself smaller here so you guys can see this. If they are certain on the process. We do it once, and then we do it again. Because usually what's going to happen is you ask them, like, okay, other than thinking about it, how do you feel about the process? Do you feel confident about it? They're going to be like, yeah, I feel confident about it. It sounds good. And then they're going to give you the objection. They're going to give you, like, yeah, I'm just worried about spending so much money, or it's like the first time that I'm investing into a coaching program. I'm kind of scared, or I just don't know if I have the time to put into it, you know? And that's the real objection. So you'll either get on the first time, or they will tell you like, yeah, I think so. You know, when you ask them about how confident they feel about the program, you know? And in that case, if you ask them, okay, like, how do you feel about the process? And they give you like a kind of half-ass answer, you need to be super aware of like their tonality as well. Is super important. Like, really pick up on like how they say it. As yes can mean a lot of different things. If they say like, yeah, I think so, versus yes, 100%, this is what I need to do. Two very different answers. So really like pick up on their tonality is super important. And make sure that if it's anything else but like a hell yeah, then there's uncertainty, which you need to dig into and figure out what it is. So if they give you like a half-ass answer, if they're like, yeah, I think so, then you double tie down. So what that means is, so if nothing else but hell yeah. And when I say that, I basically mean like yes with a certain tonality. So let me write that out. With certain tonality. If you get anything else than that, then you dig into, let me move myself here, into the uncertainty. So you basically just call it out. That's what I would do. The easiest way to do it, instead of just doing some like crazy, like difficult reframe or whatever, you just ask them, okay, you don't sound too certain. Like, I guess you can almost like call it out in like in a fun or like a joking way, you know? When they're like, yeah, I think so. You're like, yeah, I mean, you don't sound too certain about it. I just want to make sure there's actually like alignment here. Like, what is it you feel like you're not 100% sure about specifically, you know? And if you just call it out, they will be like, shit, this guy is actually aware of like what's happening. He's not just like asking me questions. He's actually like on this call listening to how I'm speaking, and they will tell you what's up, you know? And you just go into that. And then you just handle the actual objection at that point. And that's a completely different conversation, because like the first objection you guys get is usually not the real objection. The reason why you're losing deals right now is you're getting objection like this, I need to transfer money. And then immediately you go into like, okay, we need to set up a follow-up call and like what do you need to transfer money from, when in reality they might not actually even need to transfer money, you know? And then you have like a 20-minute conversation about something that's not like actually true, because they just give you like a smoke screen objection. And you end up losing the deal because of that. So super important here that you actually handle the real objection. And the way you do that is by making sure you have certainty on the program and that you have 100% confidence from them that this is the right thing for them to do before you handle any objections. So that's the first thing you need to do here. So this is going to apply for all these objections. You know, you drop the price, whatever they tell you, you put it aside, you go into making sure that they're just certain on the process. And if there are certain on the process, you know, if they're actually like, yeah, 100% it's the right thing for me to do, I want to do this, the process sounds exactly like what I need to go from like where I am to where I want to go, then you ask them and you do a double tie down, just making sure that the only thing that's holding them back is this objection. So let me give you an example here. Let's say, for example, you get to the end of the call, you present the price, they tell you that I need to talk to my dog. I don't know why I put this. It should say I need to talk to my spouse, but I need to talk to my spouse. They tell you that. Cool, no worries at all. Totally get that. A lot of people feel like they need to do the same thing. Totally normal. Other than you going and speaking with your dog, how do you feel about the process specifically? What's really important about for us is alignment between us and you. So how do you feel about like the process? Do you really feel like this is the right solution for you to go from X, Y, and Z to X, Y, and Z? Yeah, I feel like it could be the right thing. I feel like it's good. I feel like this is what I need and things like that. Cool. So process and things like that, like the program and how it's all structured, like speaking with your wife aside or speaking with your dog aside, other than like obviously doing that, are you 100% sure that this is exactly the right thing and now is the right time? So you want to double tie down with a very certain direct language of like, other than doing what you said you want to do, are you 100% sure? Like, say with that tonality, like 100% sure that this is the right thing, now it's the right time, you want to get started, you just need to talk with her first. Saying it that way, make sure we flush out any uncertainty. Because again, we want to make sure that he is 10 out of 10 or he or she is certain. We want to get like 10 out of 10, as high to 10 out of 10 as possible on the certainty scale before we handle any other objection. So that's why it's super important to double verify, double check with them that other than what they just told you, they're 100% sure. Because the thing we want to avoid here, we don't want to be handling like I need to speak to my wife objection when he's in reality not sure about the program, you know? Because then we're handling like two different things. And certainty is the first thing we need to get before we can handle objections, you know? A person who's not certain about the program is not going to buy, even if we handle like the spouse objection perfectly, he's not going to buy. So we need to always get the certainty from them first, get them like 10 out of 10 confident that this is the right thing for them to do, and then we handle the actual spouse objections or whatever it is, you know? So this applies for all these different things. And I'm gonna make future videos like going more in depth to like the specific handles for like all these objections. I'm not gonna have time to like go in and say exactly like the word tracks for all these objections, but this is by far the most important framework that you need to get into, is like realizing whatever you get in terms of objections on the sales call, put it aside, focus on getting certainty from them that the process is what they need to do. And then once you have that, then once you get that once, you get it again, you double tie down, then you can go into actually handling an objection if they're still bringing it up. Well, a lot of times what's going to happen is someone tells you like, I need to think about it. You're like, okay, cool. So what about the process? Do you feel good about the process? You're going to give you the real objection. You handle the real objection. And then you basically just close them because they actually need to think about it. They're just like uncertain about the program. And that's going to apply to most of these things as well. Like, I need to transfer money. I need to talk to my parents. A lot of times that's just like, it's just uncertainty, you know? In the cases where it's not uncertainty, how you handle this is, for example, if it's too expensive, that's a really good one. And you talk to my spouse, also a good one. I'll give you quick like ways to handle this just so you have some like ammo to use as well. When you have certainty on the program, when you know this person is confident about the program, how you handle a spouse objection, very simple. You figure out if it's permission, like if they need their spouse permission, like if they have like common finances and like the spouse is gonna like kick them out of the house if they do it, or if it's just more like a respect thing, you know? Because a lot of times when people say they want to talk to the spouse, their parents, and whatever it is, they're usually just externalizing. They're usually just like scared of making a decision, and they're like putting the responsibility on someone else to kind of accommodate them making a decision, you know, make it more comfortable for them to decide because they're scared to spend the money. Like most objections just come down to fear. You know, people are scared to invest big amounts of money. Maybe they're doing this for the first time in their life. So you just need to understand that and realize that like when someone tells that they want to speak with their spouse, first off, figure out like, is this something where they truly need to speak to their spouse to do it? Or is this like them feeling more comfortable doing it? If they need to do it, then you have either go for like a deposit, or you just book a follow-up call and get the spouse on the call. If it's like I want to talk with them because it's like out of respect or it's more comfortable for me to do that, then you need to just, in most cases, depends on who you're speaking with. If you're talking to like a more like a masculine type of prospect, then you need to just like challenge them, you know, and get them to understand that this journey of getting into a coaching program, leveling up, if it's fitness, if it's making money online, growing their business, it's going to be a journey of them taking responsibility, and they can't externalize responsibility of making decisions, you know, basically like putting all the responsibility on them to take the actions to get them to where they want to go, and getting them to realize that putting responsibility on your wife or on your husband, whatever it is, to make this decision isn't fair to them because they don't have the information, they haven't been on this call, they don't know how committed you are to this program. Basically, it's like helping them understand that it's your responsibility to make this decision, and you can't go to someone else and like ask them to do it for you, you know? So that's important to handle like someone externalizing responsibility of making a decision. If it's someone who tells you that it's too expensive, then how you handle that is two different ways. Either it's a value objection, they don't really see the value in the program. And then, to be honest, you just fucked up earlier in the call, big time. If it's more like sometimes it's going to be usually people are just going to say that because they don't have the money to do the program, they can't afford it, and then you need to go into like a payment plan and give them a payment plan option. And the word track and like the way of doing that, very specific way of doing it, you know. So when someone says it's too expensive, first you want to figure out like is it you don't feel like it's worth it, or is it you can't afford it, you don't have $8,800 or $10K, however much the promise, you know. And then based on that, if they don't have the money, then you go into what I call an open wallet. I'll make a video about this in the future. But basically what that is when you go in and figure out exactly like how much money they have in their bank accounts, you get their permission to ask them about these things, figure out how much money they have, credit, income, savings, all that stuff. And then you build out a customized payment plan for them. That's how you should handle that. If it's more like a value thing, then you basically just need to kind of redo the pitch and like redo and like the value build up of like going from where they are to the goal. It's usually more like an uncertainty objection. If someone doesn't feel like it's worth it, you've missed a lot of things early in the call. I need to transfer money. This is usually a smokescreen. A lot of times people say this because they just want to get out of the call, you know. So don't just take this at face value. Again, make sure you have the certainty first. When you have the certainty from them that the program is the right thing for them to do, if they still need to transfer money, you need to make sure you get clear insight on exactly what they need to do. This is a big mistake that closers make in general, is just have too vague conversations, you know? You're on a sales call, someone gives you an objection, you're like, yeah, cool, you need to transfer money, no worries, we're booking a follow-up, and then they end up just like disappearing, you know? So obviously don't go crazy here and like just ask them to like do something that they can't do. But you need to make sure that you get the full context about exactly what's what they need to do to actually make the payment, so you can lay out a plan for how they're going to join the program. So for example, someone might need to sell crypto to get into the program, or someone might need to like transfer money from like a savings account to like a what's it called, like a current account. So you need to like just figure these things out, get a good idea of exactly like what's going on and exactly what they need to do. And usually when you do that, you will figure out ways that they can actually make it happen. For example, I've had guys on sales calls where they have all their money in crypto, and then I get some more context, ask them some questions, and we figure out that they have a card that's connected to their crypto account, like a crypto.com like credit card, that they can use to pay the program, instead of them having to sell the crypto and wait like 4 days to get started. So you need to get more context, dig into these things, ask them questions to like uncover what's actually going on, exactly what their situation is. And then a lot of times that will solve the objection. And if it doesn't solve the objection, then you will obviously just book a follow-up call. If they need to sell crypto and wait a couple of days, or if they need to transfer money, just book the follow-up call, lay out a clear structured plan for them to come in. Meditate, pray on it. It's usually with more like spiritual people. It can be a bit difficult to handle sometimes. And the kind of like approach you need to take in these cases is usually more like a cooperative frame, because if someone is more like spiritual, if they're more like kind of like woo-woo, if that makes sense, or if they feel like they want to like pray on it and like and things like that, you can't just like meet that with like a buy now attitude and like just don't pray on it, to do it, and just like go back to their goals and more like a logical frame. You need to just like understand like how they're feeling, because usually they're more kind of like emotionally, like they're kind of externalizing the responsibility of making a decision because they feel uncomfortable about it. They feel like kind of scared and uncomfortable about drawing a line in the sand and just like committing to a program and investing in it smart money. So they want to like meditate, pray on it to get some type of confirmation, that they're doing the right thing. So just keep that in mind, as people are usually looking for is confirmation, validation, and is feeling more comfortable making this decision. And that's what you kind of need to help them through. Help them understand that there's not going to magically come certainty. They're not going to like meditate, pray on it, and then all of a sudden feel more confident. The confidence comes from taking action. So it's something that I would really recommend you use like personal stories. And yes, basically like sharing your own experiences and sharing clients' experiences, and is telling them like how they're going to feel throughout this process, and getting them to realize that they're not supposed to feel comfortable. They're not supposed to feel confident before jumping. It's supposed to feel scary. Shifting the belief in their head from, okay, success is supposed to be a comfortable, secure journey, to realizing that, okay, for me to get to this dream weight or this dream income, that is going to be for me stepping into uncertainty and doing the things I'm scared to do. If we can shift that belief in their head through personal stories and just reframing their mindset, you will be able to close these people very like this. Honestly, for me and like the guys that I coach, this should not be an objection that you struggle with at all, because if you know how to reframe this properly and like know how to tell people personal stories, it's a very simple one to overcome. People just need to understand the right way of thinking and they'll buy it. Same thing here. If someone wants to wait, usually it's a smokescreen. Usually they're like scared to do it, and there's just like fear behind it. If you get certainty on the program, it's not going to make sense. Like, why would someone wait 6 months to do something that they know is the right thing for them to do, and that's going to, for example, grow their business right now? Like, that doesn't make sense to wait to do that, So same thing here. This can be solved by getting more certainty. If they still want to wait, if they have something that's like coming up, usually you can just like reframe their way of thinking by, let's say someone is like, yeah, I'm in school right now, or I'm studying right now. I don't have time to start this until like 6 months out. I would usually challenge people strongly, because like if you just had a good call, like a good discovery, a good pitch and things like that, where they tell you that like, I want to achieve X, Y, and Z, I'm serious, I'm committed. This is why, by the way, having a good discovery is so important. So you have accountability, you can actually hold them accountable later. But anyways, if they tell you all that stuff early on the call, it's not going to make sense for them to later be on the call like, yeah, I want to do this, but I'm going to wait 6 months. So usually this is just like a result of a weak discovery on your calls and not getting like clear guidelines from them. But if you still get this, you basically like to challenge people. You told me earlier on the call that you want to be a millionaire, or that you want to get into this shape by summer, and now you tell me that you're going to prioritize school over that, or you prioritize your studies over that, or whatever it is, Like, what is actually the top priority? Is it like you achieve these goals, or is it school? Basically it's like call people out, because a lot of people go around their lives just like lying to themselves. They tell themselves these lies of like, yeah, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm committed to losing weight. I'm entrepreneurial. I'm an action taker. They tell themselves these things. Their family, their friends, kind of like feed into that version of themselves. But in reality, they're not. In reality, they're just talking about these things, but not actually doing it. So you need to be the guy on a sales call that's going to challenge people to actually step up and hold them accountable to doing what they say they want to do. This is the most high level, the most like the best closers in the world do this. This is how I was able to become the top closer on all the teams I've been on, was by just holding people accountable to high standards, not letting people give any like BS excuses. And it's not coming from a place of like hard closing. It's coming from a place of wanting the best for people, If you truly want someone to be the best version of themselves, you need to hold them to high standards. You can't accept people just like giving you BS excuses and just like telling you and telling themselves why they're not gonna make change and stay overweight or stay at like a low income or not have freedom for another 6 months. You need to be the person in their life who's gonna challenge them to step up and make change. And that's what sales is all about. So this is also I told you guys before that really like all of the stuff that I mentioned to you right now, it's all going to be prevented by having a good discovery. If you can just have good beginnings of your call, like the discovery part, the pitch, this is going to prevent all these objections. On my sales calls, I barely get any objections. It's like a couple of calls out of 100 calls, I'll get objections, more like logistical about like money or sometimes fear. But most of these objections are completely prevented if you just have a good beginning of the call where you get you get clear on the problem, you get clear on their goal, you get them to really commit to taking action, you pre-handle objections in the right way.
I don't think I'm going to do this. I'm not sure anymore. If I'm not 100% sure, I'm 90% sure. And it sounds like if I'm 90% sure, then this isn't going to work and we're just going to keep going back and forth. If you can't tell, my mind's like in a jumble right now, trying to process all this. And I do want to do this, but I do want a day to think about it. All right, let's do it.
Are you sure?
Yeah, sure. Venture. I just wanted to.
In this video, you're gonna watch me close a $8,800 deal live. And the call was with a prospect that was ice cold and gave me an I need to think about it objection that I ended up overcoming and then closing the deal. I'm not gonna waste your time by showing you every little second of this entire call. So instead I've timestamped some key parts of the call I'm gonna be covering in this video. All right, so we're gonna start this call review at the part right after I presented the program for this prospect, because in this specific part, I did a lot of minor things that you're going to be able to take away from this video, stuff that I did to make sure that this guy was not going to have any uncertainty about the program specifically, and basically it's asking certain questions in a certain way to vet out all the uncertainty, make sure he's actually confident about the program before we move into the actual investment in the price. That's going to allow us to pre-handle a lot of objections.
Do you find, I mean, I know this might be a tough question, but how often or how long does it usually take for someone to find an opportunity? I guess it would be by day 60, right?
Yeah, between 4 to 6 days.
Okay.
That's average.
Okay.
Yeah. When I look like this, we have like once in a while I have someone like I spoke with a girl about
So first takeaway here, basically what I did at this point, I presented the entire program. As you can see, I'm sharing my screen here. I'm basically just walking you through like what the entire program is, like on a Google Doc, and also like obviously explaining to him how it all works. After I've done that, the first thing I do is I ask him the question of like, okay, what questions do you have about the program? I just want to vet out everything, all questions he has about the process. Want to vet him out, make sure he's actually confident about it, and there's no uncertainty on the program. So I ask him a couple of different things. You will see how I do this in a second to make sure he's confident about the program before we move into the investment. And when he asked me something, I gave him a quick, short reply, straight to the point. A lot of people in high ticket sales make the mistake of just like starting to ramble like crazy whenever they get a question. And what happens when you do that, when someone asks you something, you just start over explaining it. It starts giving them it starts opening up new loops in their own head. They start thinking about like, maybe I'm wondering about this thing that he said or this thing and that thing, So you want to keep your answers as short and concise. Obviously, you want to answer the question that he's asking you and not just be like a dick and just like ignore the question, obviously. But you want to give short, condensed answers because that's going to allow people to just like stay on track and not have all these new uncertainty and new objections come up that just comes when you over-explain stuff. So that's a key note. You will see me do this over and over again, where I just give short, pointed replies to his questions.
3 weeks ago at this point, she joined the program, started everything, and now she just joined the company like 2 or 3 days ago at this point. So like some people do it faster, they go through training, they commit more. Some people do it slower. But 30 to 60 days is going to be average what it takes.
Yeah, I'm gonna try. I try to go faster. I mean, like I said, I wouldn't be doing this 4 hours a day. I'd probably be more like 6 to 8 hours a day. that I'd be working on this.
So basically what I've done now is I've answered all of his questions. I make sure that he has no further questions and nothing that he's unsure about with the program. The next thing that I move into now is basically what we call a temp check, so a temperature check. What that means is we want to make sure that he's actually fully confident about the program being the right solution for him. And there's nothing he's uncertain about when it comes to the process, when it comes to the program being the right solution, before we present the price, okay? So you're gonna hear me do this right now, where I start asking him about how he feels about the program. I'm gonna use words like alignment. How do you feel about this? Do you feel like there's anything that's keeping you from being less than 100% sure about it? Ask him questions like that to make sure he's actually fully confident about the process before we even talk about price. Come on. With the process, yes, to see for you, like, because like what's really big for us, like our team is alignment. We really like want to make sure that everyone actually comes in here, they do this, they feel really confident about this process. Because like our coaches and our coaching staff, we really push our students. We really hold them accountable to allow them to achieve their goals. So for you, man, like on your end, in terms of what we talked about here, like how do you feel about this? Do you feel like this is exactly what you need to be able to achieve your goal and get to where you want to go?
I like it. I mean, I like the challenging aspect of it. That's kind of what I was looking for, something to challenge me, hold me. Like, I don't want somebody to say like, oh, you have, 30 days until you have to do this. Kind of like the way school works, like university. I like the fact that it's kind of like I want somebody to like push me, like, okay, you can do better. You can do more. You can just I want to be criticized on every little thing, to be honest. So I like that aspect of it. I'm very coachable. I don't get offended.
Cool. Cool. That's good there. That's going to be important with this. And like, I'm curious with the process that we covered here, like, what do you like about it the most? You mentioned like challenging. Like, what do you feel like is going to be the most like helpful thing for you specifically? As you can see here, I'm kind of pushing back on him as well, because I asked the first question is pretty vague. Like, how do you feel about the process? He gave a pretty general response. He's like, yeah, I'm coachable. I feel like this is like school. Okay, so not very like specific or like very like confident answer. Like, yes, Alex, this is exactly what I need. So that's why I keep re-asking this question in different ways, trying to like fish out more certainty from him. Okay, what do you like about this specifically? Getting him to sell me on why he should do this. That's what I'm asking right now. Getting him to just like tell me why he should do this, and then you will see what I move into after that to eliminate all uncertainty.
Of course, the coach, somebody to talk to. Whenever I have those little random questions, I don't have to go, search online and try to Google it or anything like that. I just have to just ask somebody. I could write a list in one of my 2 conversations weekly. I could just bring it up and say, hey, I'm having trouble with this, or how should I word this, or what should I do when this happens, or if I get this objection. It's just that little part, that little aspect right there is definitely the most important to me. Because I'm sure, although I might not have many questions now, when I actually start applying the information and doing it and taking action, I'm sure the questions are going to come.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. Cool, man, that's good to hear. So, because I know a lot of people, like, obviously when it comes to getting into something like this, doing something that's very different from a traditional 9 to 5, like it can be like pretty scary for a lot of people, like take the first step, investing into themselves. So it's good to hear that you feel confident about this actually working out for you. That's really important.
Yeah, I'm not saying I'm going to be perfect at first. I'm sure you know that, but I am confident that I can learn.
Yeah, cool. Is there anything that you're like unsure about, like anything that you don't like with the process?
Honestly, to be 100% honest, I don't like the time. I will try to shorten it.
Cool. This is like the last question I ask here. Now we've asked him, okay, any more questions? No. How do you feel about the program? I feel good about it. I like the coaching. Okay, cool. What do you like about it specifically? Getting him to tell me on it. And then last thing, is there anything that you're unsure about? You see like basically 4 questions that I asked to ask right now. It's all about vetting out uncertainty. So you will still see this guy give me an I need to think about objection at the end that I end up overcoming. But it's so much easier to handle that objection when you have certainty on the program. When you know this guy 100% feels good about the program, then it's really only the only variable left to handle is the price. Versus what most closers do is just present the program, answer some questions, and then drop their price. And then there's like thousands of objections from all different angles you don't know what to handle, So that's why you need to make sure that you have certainty on the program, and then the only variable that's left to handle is the price. So you'll see exactly how I do this.
I want to be making money by day 30, and that's my goal. So I'm going to, of course, be wondering how I can do that if that's possible. And I'll be willing to put in the time and effort to do that.
Yeah, man, I look at it like this, as I said, before, like it's all self-paced. Like we have people come in here, like when I did this personally, I was an opportunity to buy day 21 of starting the program. So it's like,
nice.
Some people do it slower as well. Like it's fine in a way, but that's the first thing you do when you come in is that you sit down with your coach and lay out your game plan. So you tell them like, I'm willing to put in as much time as it takes. I want to get to 10K and guess you down to you.
Of course, I'm sure that's like the number one question. How much, like, is it based off of phases? Yeah, but that one questions drive me crazy.
Nice. And guess you down to you for you to put in the work and follow the process to get there.
Yeah, but that one questions drive me crazy is how much it costs. Of course, I'm sure that's like the number one question. How much, like, is it based off of phases? Is each phase a different price? Is it the whole thing, one time paid? How does that work? I'm sure you're going to get to that.
Yeah, I'll walk you through it. I just want to make sure first of all you feel confident about this, because then if you don't feel like this is exactly what you need, like it does make sense to talk about enrollment as well. But if you feel confident about this, man, do you want to talk about how you can get started with it? Cool. So here, like most closers would be just like, either just like drop the price or get nervous or get thrown off. You see, like I'm very calm, very collected here. Like, yeah, totally fine. We'll get into the price. I just want to make sure that's actually like it's a good fit for you before we get into the price, which it makes sense, you know. Like, why would you just talk about the investment and like buy something that you don't actually believe in, you know? So that's how I handle it. Very like relaxed, calm. I keep like that leadership position on the call. I don't start like motivating to him like why I'm not getting even the price. Like, yeah, man, we'll get to the price. I just need to make sure this actually a good fit for you before, so we actually do something that's going to help you, you know? And then we get into price. And then I ask him as well, do you want to talk about the investment? Yeah, cool, we get into it. That's how you should always handle whenever someone starts pushing for the price, whatever part of the call it is, you always want to be like relaxed, calm, collected, just give him a short reason why, and then just move back to your call process.
Yeah, I'm ready for that.
3 steps. First thing you need to do is deposit the investment with me. I take care of all the enrollment. After that, we book in with your first call with your coach right away. So you meet up with them, lay out your game plan moving forward, what your next 30, 60, and 90 days are going to look like to the program. I give you actually the program as well right away, so you're able to hit the ground running, start getting to work towards landing your position, and scaling this to eventually get to 10K per month right away. Investment to get it there.
Cool. This is a key thing that I did right now. Right? A lot of people miss this. Before you drop the investment on a closing call, always give them next steps before you do that, okay? Super crucial. When you don't do this, it's almost like the prospect is like jumping off a cliff, you know? When you just give people the price without them knowing exactly what's going to happen like after you actually pay, they feel like they're just like throwing out 5K or 10K and they don't know what's going to happen next, you know? When you bridge that gap in their mind and you tell them like you're going to pay and then this is going to happen, and you tell them exactly the next steps before they even know what the investment is, it kind of puts them to ease, you know? They know what's going to happen next. They know, okay, when I pay this money, this is what's going to happen. And it just usually removes the fear that you would otherwise get when you drop the price. And they just hear like this big amount and they just feel like, I'm going to drop this amount and then I don't know what's going to happen, you know? So this is something that I always implement. Tell them next steps before you drop the investment every single time.
It's a one-time investment of 10K USD. But what we're doing right now, because we appreciate people who are direct with us, people who are decision makers and making effective decisions, on this call, I can actually take 1.2K off the top. And let's get started for a one-time investment of 8. How does that land with you?
One thing that I notice I do on this call, that's actually, I'm going to call out myself, is I'm having my hand on my shin like this, which kind of makes me look a bit like insecure and things like that. Something that I did, because this was quite some time ago, like 2 years ago I took this call. So since then, I've obviously like improved my closing a lot. But that's something I noticed I was doing on these calls back when I was new in closing. I would just have my hand like this. I don't know why. I think it was like a bad habit that I was doing, and this makes you look a bit insecure. So be really aware of your body language on your sales calls. Make sure you don't do stuff like that because it makes you look insecure. It makes you look less like a leader on the call. So you want to be really aware of that stuff because that like your body language signals a lot to the prospect. Now what's gonna happen is my internet cuts out there, so you'll see what happens.
Can't do it today. So I'd have to basically treat it like school. And yeah, you'd have to give me till Tuesday and I could do the 10K. I'd have to get a one.
All right, so we dropped the price. First thing tells me I can't do it today. I need to wait until Tuesday. And then my internet drops, so we'll just skip forward here a bit. So this is a really crucial part of the call because what this guy is saying is like, he's kind of implying that he wants to do this, but he can't start until Tuesday because he needs to get a loan to cover the investment of the program, okay? And nothing personal about this guy that I'm talking with, but I've taken so many calls, like thousands and thousands of calls, and I've seen a pattern where like people, they don't end up coming back, you know? He's like, yeah, I'm gonna get a loan, he hops off the call, we book a follow-up, he's not gonna come back, you know? So again, nothing personal about this guy, but I've like seen like more people than not end up not coming back when they say they want to wait. Because again, fear comes up, you know, they hop off the call, they realize shit, it's a big investment, they're no longer talking with me, they have like their old ways of thinking, you know, like their old 1.0 version of themselves, you know, like the old version of themselves that have all these problems and are financially stuck and things like that, start making decisions for them, and they end up getting stuck and like just holding themselves back, getting scared, and then they end up not showing up to the next call and just like backing out basically. So that's why we don't just let him off the call and yeah, we're gonna book a follow up, I'll see you on Tuesday. We don't do that because more often than not, he's just gonna like disappear and not come back, and obviously then we're not helping him. So that's how we're going to handle this now. And what you guys see me do first thing here is like it's very detached energy, you know. He's like, yeah, I can't do this. I need to wait. I need to get money. Cool, no worries, man. Other than the money, like, how do you feel about this? So detached. You don't want to be like, okay, we need to do this right now, or like start pushing him. Like, why do you want to wait? Or like, what's going on? First thing is like diffuse the pressure. Okay, got it. No worries.
I have access to it. I just have to process it.
What do you mean by process it?
It would be I would have to get another 9,000 in loans to pay it off at one time, which it's available. I'm already approved. I just haven't accepted it.
Where you think you have to take out a loan to do that, or like what do you mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Now it's just clarifying, you know, whenever someone gives you like vague stuff, it's like, yeah, first thing I asked him, like, do you have access to it, or is this doable for you financially? He's like, yeah, I'd have to take out a loan. Okay, got it. Like, what do you mean? So you don't have access to it personally? No, I don't. Okay, got it. And then he's like, yeah, I need to process it. Okay, what do you mean by, like, what does process it mean? Like, there's a lot of like these unclear things people need to clarify. Again, big thing I see a lot of closers make the mistake of doing is they don't clarify on this stuff. You know, you get to the end of the call, someone gives you an objection, you don't really understand like exactly what the objection really is. You end the call, and they end up just ghosting you, or you book a follow-up call and they don't show up, or whatever it is, because you didn't actually figure out what the real objection was. You know, by just clarifying, asking like, what do you mean when you say this, just clarifying what they're saying. A lot of times it will give you exactly the real objection, and you will end up being able to handle it as well. So that's really what I'm doing right now, just like clarifying and really understanding like what's going on, like what's the actual real objection for this guy before we handle it. Super key thing.
Okay. Yeah, gotcha, man. So, and like, without having to do a loan, like, is that something that you have access to in terms of like what you have access to on your end with like savings and stuff, or would you have to take out a loan to this?
I would have to take out a loan.
Cool. We clarify, does he have access to it on his own, or would he have to take out a loan? That's a big thing as well. And taking out a loan is a pretty big thing for people to do, paying interest and all that stuff. So I want to figure out like, could it cover this without getting a loan or not?
Okay. No worries, man. So like, I don't want you to like necessarily have to take out a loan if that's, but like, do you mean like with this? Because I can tell you, man, like we never had someone who like really wanted to do this, and then like money held them back from being able to start the program. So for you, man, like let's say like money aside for a second, are you 100% sure that you want to do this program?
Yeah, I would love to. I feel like, I mean, like I said, I've thought about it for a long time, and it's time to actually do it. And I really believe that I'm capable of doing it. And I'm not just saying that. Like I said, like I'm one of those people who's more, reserved because I've done that. I'm going to law school. Got my bachelor's degree. I've done all that stuff and made mistakes. So I like to think things through. And so, like I said, I've already thought it through about how badly I want it and what would be a cutoff, and I think I would make it worth it for me.
Okay.
I really feel that way.
Now I'm just tying down that other than the money, other than obviously he doesn't have access to the full amount of money without getting a loan, is this guy 100% sure still that he wants to do this program? We need to get that 100% confidence from him that other than the money, he wants to do this before we handle the money. Again, it's all about just like eliminating all, like kind of closing these doors, that could be open. Instead of going into handling the money objection and giving him a payment plan, while he's still like looking to talk to his partner, or still looking to wait 24 hours, or still unsure about, or still has questions about the program. We want to close all of those doors and only handle like one of them, like one of those objections before. We want to make sure that we only have one objection before we handle it. Basically, that's what I'm doing right now. So that's really key, because if we go into handle the money, we give him a payment plan, but he's still looking to talk to his spouse, or still looking to like ask more questions, it's going to be hard to close him. So we want to do that first. We want to eliminate all other objections, make sure he's confident. And I do this twice as well. I ask him, other than the money, are you 100% sure about this? Got it. So money aside, are you 100% in? Key thing is I ask that in a very certain, direct way. So that makes it so that if he's unsure at all, if there's any uncertainty, he's going to tell me. That's what we want. We want to hear what his uncertainty is. We don't want to like just hide it and just like cruise past and close him. We want him to tell us what the uncertainty is, because that's the only way we can handle it.
So I'm organizing mine, like money aside, are you 100% in?
Yeah.
Money aside, are you 100% in? Super key how I say that. Directness, no fluff, no like, okay, so if money wasn't a problem, would you want to do this? Or like, if you had the money, would you want to do this? No. Money aside, are you 100% in?
Okay, cool. So if you feel like money is like the only thing that's kind of preventing you from like being able to start with it, like do you want to look into how we can like make something happen for you, maybe like break it up to make that not a problem for you, so you can actually get started with everything today? Or
I'd rather do it at one time.
So here what I'm asking him is basically is, so if money is the only thing holding you back, do you want to look into and see if there's a way we can figure this out to make it doable, so you can get started again today and fix the money issue? We want to, again, this emphasis that we're doing this today, And the reason why we're doing that again is to vet out uncertainty, because if this guy is still in a mindset of like, yeah, I want to think about this, I want to wait on this and do this in 24 hours, then we're not going to be able to close him by just giving him like a payment plan, you know? We want to actually figure out that truly money is the only thing holding him back from buying today before we handle the money. So we go really, really hard on that. And you should do the same thing with any objection, you know, like talking to your partner aside, what do you want to start doing this today? Would you want to invest and pay me right now on this call if it wasn't for this X, Y, and Z objection? We want to go super, super hard because that way we can actually vet out and get him to tell us the other uncertainty. So you're gonna see me keep coming back to this. Is super, super crucial.
It would make me feel more comfortable. It would be actually more beneficial for me that way because I could break it up into monthly payments that way, and it'd probably work out better for me to do it that way. You know,
To do it
paying.
what way?
What's that?
To do it what way? I'm not following.
To get that loan for the additional money that I need, and then I'd be paying about like 150 a month, and then just make a one-time payment on Tuesday.
Okay. I guess I'm a bit confused. Like, what's the benefit of taking out a loan instead of looking at how we can break it up for you?
I guess I'm confused.
To break it up like this, I'll be able to see where things are at, and then based on that, we can together figure out a plan of how you can be able to get started with this without having to necessarily take out a loan, so you don't have to pay that interest on a loan.
So now what we're doing is we're getting into figuring out a payment plan for this guy. So key thing here that I'm doing is I position this in his best interest. Instead of telling him like, yeah, tell me your expenses and your exact like economical situation right now, your finances right now, and I'm gonna give you a payment plan. What I do instead is I position it in his best interest. So I'm like, yeah, we have solutions that we can like help people get into in terms of breaking it up and giving like investment options, but it's gonna be customized based off of what you need. So are you open to having a transparent conversation about your finances to see like where things are at, so we can then figure out a way for you to get started with this? As you can see, I'm positioning this whole thing that we're gonna do right now in terms of basically just going in and getting him to tell us about his entire finances. I'm positioning that in his best interest, you know, because he's already told us like 2 or 3 times now that I want to do this. It's just the finances holding me back, you know, which is why I have the permission to now asking about literally like very personal stuff here about exactly how much money he has in the bank, etc. Because he's told me, Alex, I want to do this, and I'm telling him like, yeah, by having this exercise right now where I'm going to ask you about how much money you actually have access to, you're going to get what you want, which is getting into our program in a way that suits you financially. So that's crucial stuff. You can't do this investment options thing right here if you don't have the ammo of them having told you multiple times that, Alex, I want to do this. It's just the money holding me back.
It's a unique situation because right now I don't have any income, so that's why I don't feel comfortable doing it that way. So I'd have to say,
you don't need to have an income. We can just map this out based on the situation. My goal is, you told me that you money aside, you want to do this. My goal with this is just to help you figure out a plan that could fit where you're at, so you can be able to start with this, start working towards your goals with the program.
okay,
So you want to map it out and see what we can figure out for you? Or?
yeah, let's see. Definitely.
So in terms of well, such income is 0, right? In terms of expenses, how much is that on a monthly basis right now, roughly?
About 600, no, 700 a month.
700, got it. And then you said are you like interviewing for different jobs, or would you plan to just go all in on this?
So here you see me get extremely specific on exactly what he has. I need to find out exactly how much he has, exactly where he has the money. We want to get very, very clear on these different things. And the way that I can get this information is, like I said before, number one, by having all of this trust built with him from earlier in the call, and also because he's told me multiple times that he wants to do this, he's got money holding him back, and he feels like this is in his best interest to do as well, which is ultimately it is, because I need to figure out his financial situation to be able to give him a good payment plan that's actually going to work for him, you know? So it's all about helping this guy. And also because of my energy, you know, how I show up as a leader with confidence on the call, that also helps me to ask these very personal things. Because if you show up to a call and you're like, hey man, so could you like share your finances so we can like give you like a payment solution? If you ask them like in a very insecure way, people are not gonna tell you these things, you know. So you need to be a certain leader, have that like assertive energy of like, okay, we're gonna figure this out together, and having that like leadership energy is also gonna help you to actually get these responses right here, so you can actually figure out the situation and then give them a payment plan.
Lisa, got it.
Man, can I actually make the payment tomorrow though?
Why? I'm not following.
I have to deposit into my account.
Yeah, deposit into your account. Like, what do you mean?
I have to like transfer it from one account to the other.
Yeah.
I mean, I could probably do it this afternoon if it goes through this afternoon.
Well, you need to move it from like from one account to another, or like what's...
Yeah.
Okay, but I mean that's instant on pretty much all banks.
No, I gotta go deposit it like physically from a check to my account. It should go through today though.
Didn't you just tell me that you had 2K in checkings right now?
Again, this is why it helps so much to actually get clarity and complete context. Because now when he's telling me like, yeah, Alex, I need to deposit money into my bank account to pay this, it's like he has literally just told me earlier he has $2,000 right now in his checking account. So yeah, it doesn't make any sense for him to just change this up. So that's why you need to have these things earlier. You need to get this context here before you move into the finances, before you're taking the payment. And because now I can just call him out. Like, you just told me before you had 2K, and now you don't have it. Like, what do you mean? You know?
Not right now. I can have it in by like today or tomorrow.
Okay, so how much do you have in checkings currently?
Right now, about one. Let me see. Let me check it real quick.
So basically, we find out that he actually has 1211 in his checkings right now. So he didn't have like the full 1.5K to actually like make the first investment and get started. So what I do then is I just go for doing a deposit, you know, because we don't want to get off a sales call and with him not having any skin in the game. Because what's going to happen in that case, again, he's going to hop off the call. He's going to have second thoughts. It's going to be like fear. All decision-making patterns is going to come back up. It's going to hold him back from actually taking action. So we go to deposit. We go for a deposit. You will see exactly how I frame the deposit right now. So I go for a deposit to actually get him to commit somewhat to the call. And then what happens, he tells us that he's actually unsure, that he actually wants to think about this, and then we get the real objection, you know? This is why you always need to push for commitment on the first call. And again, you want to do this in the right way. You don't want to just like force people to commit. You want to actually be curious and like figure out like what's the thing that people are unsure about. But if you do this, if you actually go for a deposit when someone is like, they're telling you that they can't commit, he has 1.2K in his account. So I just get creative here, you know. I'm like, okay, we're gonna do 1K now, so you can actually get started, and we'll do the remaining $500 later, you know, no problem. That's totally fine. And then he's like, yeah, you will see what he says, and then we just handle that actual uncertainty that comes up now at this point.
And it's mailed to my mom's house.
In that case, what we'll do is we'll basically make a simple focus with the, in terms of the discount we're doing. That's something we do like because we like on these calls I can take that off the top. And so in that case, man, that's totally fine. What we'll do in this case, we can just I'll get you in for the 1K now, get the extra thing, set you up with the coach, get you booked in so you can start trading up and everything. And then we can just take care of the remaining 500 like later today when you had a chance to go to the bank and just deposit that check. That's totally fine. I can work with you on that. Does that make sense?
Man. Yeah, I mean, look, I gotta be really honest with you. I need to think about this. I really do.
Sure. That's totally fine.
You think you could give me 24 hours to really think?
Yeah, man, totally. Like, no worries. Like I said, I appreciate you being transparent and like telling me what's actually coming up for you. So what do you feel like is keeping you from being less than 100% sure that like this is the right thing and now it's the right time to get started with this?
Cool. This is key. Like how I handle this. He actually like opens up and is like, yeah, I'm not sure about this. Like I don't know if I want to do this. I feel kind of pressured. What I don't do here and what most people do wrong is they just like start pushing. You know, they're like, okay, what are you sure about? Tell me what's going on. What you need to think about. You can notice me here, like very, very leaned out energy. Sure, no worries, man. What do you feel like is coming up for you? Like, what do you feel like you're kind of unsure about? Or even before I said, I also asked him like, okay, or I also told him like, I appreciate you sharing that, and like, I appreciate you telling me what's coming up for you. Very, very leaned out. You don't want to be like pressuring him at all when he says that. You want to like really lean out, make him feel like he has a lot of space, talk slower, have that like detached tonality. It's gonna make him feel like he has a lot of space and doesn't feel pushed. You know, super key.
I just want to be.
And I just ask him, okay, so what is it you feel like is coming up for you? What do you feel like is keeping you from being less than 100% sure that this is the right thing and now is the right time? Pretty broad question, is getting him to like tell us his uncertainty, because I need to think about it. When he says I want 24 hours, as we know, that's not a real objection, okay? Think about it, it's not a real objection. In like 99% of cases, he's like a smokescreen because he's unsure about something. He doesn't need more time to make a decision. He just needs more information and more clarity and more certainty. So that's why automatically I just assume that, you know, I just, okay, God, man, no worries. So when you say you need to think about it, like what is it you feel like is keeping you from being less than 100% sure? And he tells me the objection right away. That's like the easiest way to handle the objection.
Good with myself and in my heart, you know? I don't know if that makes sense, but I'd like to think about it outside the call, talk about with my girlfriend, you know, just clear all those little edges, you know, kind of sand them down. I'm 100% ready. I just don't want to have anybody mad at me, you know?
I'm not sure if I understand. Can you expand what's your concern exactly?
I just want to have some time to like, I guess, pray on it, you know?
He told me he wants to talk with his girlfriend. He wants to think it over. He wants to pray on it. Like we have like 3 or 4 different objections here, you know, kind of all over the place. So I'm just gonna keep clarifying until we actually find out like what the real thing is, like what he's actually unsure about. And it sounds like it's just fear. It's like him being nervous. He wants to make sure he's making the right decision. That's really what it all comes down to.
Basically, just because I don't like making a decision, you know, right there when I'm on the call, right on the minute, on the spot. Like I don't feel comfortable with that.
Okay, so it's just like a little bit.
And this comes up, you need to just be very aware of like how people are showing up on the call. You know, you can notice like how when somebody just like gives you a bunch of different things, I want to do this and that, it's usually just because like they want to make sure that they're doing the right thing. You know, they will talk with their girlfriend, they want to pray on it, they want to meditate because they just want to make sure that they're doing the right thing. They want confirmation from the outside that they're doing the right thing because they're scared. You know, which is funny because like it might be the first time that you've ever like a lot of these people, it's the first time that they've ever invested into like a high ticket coaching program. So they just need that confirmation, like they're actually doing the right thing. It's actually gonna like work out, and they're actually gonna put their money in the right place. You know, so. That's why we handle now is just like the nerves and the fear, and then we end up closing him.
Of nerves, like a little bit of
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
taking the first step for
yeah. It feels like I just want to have some of the pressure off, you know, and not feel so pressured to where like I can just have time to think for myself and be like, okay, I'm doing this because I really want to, not because I'm being pressured. Like
Okay.
I'm sure I want to, but it's more of just a surety thing, you know?
Okay. I mean, I hear you on that, and like usually,
Cool. So he told us it's just nerves, it's just fear, and then like I close every single time someone is just like nervous or is a bit scared. I close those people every single time because that's an easy objection to handle. It's just about like helping them understand that they're supposed to feel that way, it's supposed to feel scary, and it's reframing how they think about fear essentially at this point. And when he mentions also like the pressure thing of him feeling a bit pressured, you'll see how I handle this. I have a really good way of handling when someone says like, "Yeah, I feel like you're pressuring me." You'll see this.
there's like two different types of pressure. There's like internal pressure, and then there's external pressure. Internal pressure is when your actions and your words aren't really aligned. For example, when you told someone you're going to do something, you told your parents or your girlfriend you're going to do something, and you aren't actually owning up to your word, then you're going to have internal pressure. Where you're going to feel, for your own reasons, you're going to feel like, shit, I should have done this thing, but I didn't actually do it. For example, I'm going to go out with the trash, I'm going to do something, and you haven't actually done it. That pressure is going to be on the inside of you until you have actually aligned your actions with your words.
Hmm.
That's natural to feel, because like on this call as well, when you told me earlier that you felt confident about this process, you told me 100% this is what you want to do, it's the right thing. We worked it out financially. And after that, it's natural to feel like internal pressure because it's, at the end of the day, it's for your own reasons. External pressure is me like being on this call and like, dude, you have to do this. Like, I'm going to kill you if you don't do this, whatever it is, you know?
Hmm.
Like, it's two different things.
I get that. Yeah,
But at the
definitely.
same time,
It's
I also
internal.
realize,
It's
like,
internal.
yeah,
This is extremely easy and good way to handle. I feel like you're pressuring me right now, because it lands very well if you do this in the way I did right now. It's just two different types of pressure. You have external pressure, internal pressure, and then you say what I said right now. Internal pressure is when you actually want to do something for your own reasons and like just holding yourself accountable to what you said you want to do. External is if I or someone else is forcing you to do it. You know, it's gonna kind of realign it because he's feeling pressure right now. He's feeling like shit. I need to do something. But what he's not realizing is that pressure is built by him himself, you know, because he told me early on this call that he has all these goals, all these things that he wants to do. He's ready to take action. He told me all these different things. We figured out the finances, like everything is just like lining up for him to do it. But he's still saying that he wants to push it off. So the reason why he's feeling pressure right now is because he said everything that just lines up to him taking action to start, but he's not doing it. So it's a pressure that's created by him internally. It's not me pushing him into doing something. That's super, super key because a lot of people will just feel pressured and they don't know why. And if you don't handle this in the right way, they will feel like you're pressuring them and they will like hang up the call or like whatever it is, they will close down. So it's important to handle this specific like objection in the right way and just reframe them, like just get them into the right way of thinking about pressure essentially. That's it.
at the same time, I also want to rely with the fact that like you told me that you felt really, really confident about the process. 100% what you want to do, you feel like it's right.
And then you tie it back to what they told you before and holding them accountable to their words and having their actions and their words align, which is really what a sales call is all about.
Thing will get you to your goal. And when it comes down to making the decision and actually owning up to it and taking the responsibility, it is always scary to take the first step. But I like to think about like this: you kind of at the bridge now, right now, where everything that you want, just having the freedom.
So now I just handle the objection basically. I just put it back on him. It's all about you holding your word to yourself. And then I start telling him about like the fear reframe, which is basically I just give him an analogy of walking across a bridge, you know? You're at a bridge right now with the reality and like the things that you want is on the other side. What's in between is the fear, nerves, all the things that you need to walk through to get to the other side. Either you can stay where you are and stay in the shitty situation that you're in, or you can walk across this bridge, experience the fear, nerves to get to where you want to go, what you want to do. That's basically what I do right now to just reframe how he looks at fear and what he needs to do to get to his goal.
Having flexibility, being able to have more income, having more flexibility, kind of being your own boss, all those things are on the other side of this bridge. What is in between is it's those feelings, you know, being a bit scared, being a bit nervous. That's why a lot of people, like 900 people out there, they have big goals, but they never actually get there because they aren't willing to do what is actually required to pass this bridge. So now you have to kind of decide, do you think this type of person that you want to become, where you're being remote, you're making 10K a month, do you think that type of person makes decisions out of a place of fear and a place of being nervous? Or do you think they make decisions out of a place of vision and of the upside and potential?
I think it's more of a test on I feel like if y'all felt confident enough to me to give me a day to think about it.
So that was a pretty good objection handling. I just asked him a question, like basically gave him like kind of like identity question, like who do you want to be? Do you want to be the type of person who lets fear hold them back, or the type of person that acts like the 10K per month, 120K per year version of yourself that pushes yourself into the stuff that's scary and takes action, etc. And then now he's like, yeah, there's a test. I want to see if you guys can let me think about this. I want to see if you guys will push me or not, which you will see how I handle this in a very good way. Again, you want to stay detached and you will see exactly how I do this.
And actually really decide rather than put me on a spot, then I'd feel way more comfortable because I feel like, the fact that it's like, oh, you gotta do it right now, you gotta do it right now, you gotta do it right now. Like, I don't like that. I don't respond well to that. That's kind of pushing me away, to be honest. And so it was kind of like a test to see if y'all were like that. So, I mean, maybe we won't be the best fit.
Sure. You don't have to do this. Like, you don't want to.
I mean,
Like,
I do want to, but
I'm gonna be
I
like,
don't like that.
I don't need you to do this. Like, I'm gonna be fine either way, but I'm just holding you accountable to your actions and your words. So, and that was what I was asking you, do you feel like that type of person that you want to become? Do you think they make decisions out of fear and being nervous, or out of vision?
I'm a careful person. I mean, I feel like I've had a lot of security in the past, and I do feel confident in myself to make money in whatever I do. So I really do want to do this. And I mean, if you can't understand the fact that I just want a day to just let it sink in, soak it up, I believe you're giving me a great offer. But if I don't know, if I feel just not getting a good vibe off of that.
Okay. Yeah, man.
I mean, if you can't give me a day to think about it, then why not? Like, why don't you feel comfortable giving me a day to think about it?
I never said that you can't think about it, man.
Okay.
I
Like, I
said
really
that
do want to do
I
it. I
was
just
telling
want
you
to,
multiple times, like, I don't need you to do this, man. You don't have to do this. Like, I'm just gonna
yeah.
how all the time your actions, your words align. Like, I don't really
Here, key thing I'm doing, I'm just leaning out a lot, man. Like, I don't need you to do this. We need to clarify that, because this guy, especially, he's like, he very, very sensitive to pressure and things like that. So you just want to like clarify to him, like, I don't need you to do this. I'm gonna be fine regardless. This is why being detached as a closer is so important. You can say that with like genuine intention, like, I don't need you to buy the program. I'm gonna be fine anyway. If you can come into all sales calls with that intention of like not needing any person, like coming in with the intention to help everyone and holding everyone like accountable to doing what they say they want to do, but not needing anyone, you will close a lot of people. That's the highest level of sales, where you can just hold people accountable to do what they say they want to do, but not needing any one sale, basically.
care if you do this or not. Like, it's not going to change anything for me. But what I'm not going to accept is you telling me, Alex, I 100% want to do this. I want to step up and make the commitment, and then not align your actions with those words. Like, you have to kind of decide as well.
All right. Well, let me go ahead and align my actions with my words. Then
This is key. Like, sales is not about like, you don't need him to buy as a closer, but what you need from every single person you talk with is you need alignment between their actions and their words. Should be your biggest takeaway from this video, is that as a closer, what you're looking to get out of every single call, you're not looking for like a yes from everyone to buy, but you're looking for getting to the truth. Figuring out if the person you're speaking with is actually ready to align their actions with their words and do what they say they want to do. Being them accountable.
let me set that straight. I do want to do this, but I do want a day to think about it. Okay? I don't have to do this. Just like you don't have to accept me. Just like you don't have to help me out like you did. I understand that, but I would really appreciate it if you could just give me a day to think about it.
Yeah, that's fine. It's like, no worries. You can definitely think about it. The thing is that usually when people want to think things over, usually what they really want is having more certainty in making the decision. But I also want to align with the fact that you going out and thinking this over, pondering about it, it's not going to make you more certain. You're still going to feel the exact same way in terms of being a bit scared.
What I really want to do is just
take the first step. But those feelings are always going to be there. So the real question is like, when do you want to actually start working towards your goals? Because regardless if you do this today, or if you do this tomorrow, if you do this 1 month from now, those same feelings are always going to be in between you and achieving your goal. So the question is, when is the right time to start working towards your goals?
I'm starting right now, but the thing is, what I want to do first is plan out my money first for the next month. I want to sit there with a physical plan I could see, actually write it down when I have time to think, talk to my people, make sure everything's in line. And I'm sure it will be, but whenever I actually see it like that, I'll feel more comfortable.
So your concern is that like if you invested the 1,500, that will leave you in a bad spot financially
for the next week or so, yeah. But I don't think it will. I just need to see it. I just need to see it written out, written down. I just need to think about it. So I guess I don't know.
I'm not following. What do you mean exactly? Like, you need to do. We mapped it out. You told you're getting a check for 1K in the next week. Like, do you think you're gonna have more expenses coming up in the next week, or like, I'm not following?
I mean, yeah, you saw what I had in my account, but I also have to buy groceries. I have to buy, I have an event coming up with family that I'm gonna have to travel out of town for. So I just want to make sure I'm good there, and I'm confident I will be, but I just want to, make sure it's all lined up.
As you can see here, this all comes down to accountability. Like, I'm holding him accountable to doing, and like basically holding him accountable to doing what he says he he wants to do, you know, and holding his actions in alignment with his words and not accepting him just saying one thing but acting in a different way.
Right, man. I want to realign with the fact, man, like that you're never going to be 100% sure. Like if you're going to wait and try to like feel 100% confident in investing in yourself and taking the first step, like there's people out there who like who's waited their entire life to feel for everything to line up, you know, like you're never going to feel 100% confident towards taking the first step. The question is like, are you going to move despite feeling a bit uncertain, or are you going to go out there and keep waiting to wait for everything to feel perfect before you ever start? Those are two different options, because you can either be that person who just keep waiting for everything to feel perfect, everything to line up for you to ever start. Or you can be that person who's able to push through that of being a bit uncertain, being a bit scared, everything not being absolutely perfect, but still taking the first step and actually start working towards your goals.
I don't think I'm going to do this. I'm not sure anymore. If I'm not 100% sure, I'm 90% sure. And it sounds like if I'm 90% sure, then this isn't going to work, and we're just going to keep going back and forth. If you can't tell, my mind's like in a jumble right now, trying to process all this, and I need to.
Because I can tell you, like, you could literally be like, instead of being on the sidelines and like saying that you're comfortable, that confident you want to do this, but not actually doing it, you could actually take the first step. And when you go to sleep tonight, you can know that you actually did everything in your power to actually work towards your goals, and not just be one of those people who actually talk about it, but be someone who's actually doing it as well and actually aligning your actions and your words. And I will argue that like actually doing it as well and actually aligning your actions and your words. And I will argue that like that's my biggest concern. When I look back at things like 6 months from now, 12 months from now, I would rather like have done everything in my power to achieve my goal, even if it doesn't work out, instead of just being inside of my comfort zone and not even taking steps towards where I want to go. Because those are the two different things.
All right, let's do it.
Are you sure?
Yeah, sure. I've been sure. I just wanted to. I told you I was sure before. I just wanted to think about it, and I was holding myself back. I'm still sure. I'm sure. Let's go.
There we go. We just shifted his way of thinking here. If you want to get into high ticket sales and make your first 5 to 10K per month online, the best place to start is to become an appointment setter. And the truth is that for you to actually succeed as an appointment setter, you need to have a good skill set. And I personally went from literally being dead broke a couple of years ago, having negative balance to my name, to now having made multiple 6 figures online, having complete freedom, all thanks to high ticket sales. So in this video, I want to show you guys an entire appointment setting call that I personally took. So you guys can learn the skill set, see exactly the questions that I asked, the script that I follow, the techniques that I use, everything to learn the skills at the highest level. Because the truth is that when you've learned how to do appointment setting properly, finding good opportunities, finding good job offers, and making 5 to 10K per month becomes easy. So we're gonna hop into my computer right now. I'm gonna show you this entire call, break it all down for you so you can just learn the skill set from me directly. And by the end of this video, we'll have an entire blueprint of exactly how to run a good appointment setting call that you can just use, start practicing right away to land your first role and perform that role as well. So let's get into it. All right, so just to give you guys some quick context here before we dive into this call, there's basically 2 different types of appointment setting that exists within the high ticket sales industry. There is DM setting, and then there's phone setting. So this is going to be a phone setting call, meaning it's basically a 10 to 20 minute conversation over the phone, where my main goal is to qualify the prospect and then book them in for a closing call with the closer on the sales team. So I'm not making the sale on this call. I'm not overcoming all the objections and dropping price and things like that. The goal here is just to understand the prospect's problem, getting pain out of them, qualifying them, making sure it's actually a good fit for the program that I'm selling, and then booking them for the closer and making sure they actually show up for that second call. So it's going to be the first call. I'm calling them. This is someone that's actually showed interest. They didn't put in their information on like a landing page on a website to get contacted. I'm calling them to basically get an idea of like who they are, what their goals are, if we can actually help them, and then just getting them to show up to the next call. And the way that I'm doing that, you will see me do this throughout the call, is I'm basically digging into their problems, figuring out what their goals are, and then positioning the next call that I'm going to book them for with a closer as the solution, as the call where they basically get the solution to the problems that they have. So let's get into this straight away. I'm going to break it down step by step, everything from the beginning here. And it's going to start off as me basically making an outbound call. So me calling the prospect that has showed interest through an ad or through a video that they saw somewhere online. So let's get into this. I'm going to speed this up as well. Ring, ring. Hey, is this Leon?
Yes, this is Leon. Who am I speaking to?
Hey, Leon, it's just Alex here calling from Alex Bergstrom's team. I saw you just responded to one of our videos about like potentially becoming a remote setter, and I just had a couple of minutes over. So I thought I'd just touch base, see if I can maybe help you out. Do you have a couple of minutes?
So here you guys see, in the beginning, super simple, opening up with a very friendly, neutral tonality. Hey man, I saw that you responded to one of our ads about becoming an appointment setter. So this would be for appointment setting offer in this case, in this role play.
And I was just reaching out to see if I can maybe help you out, give you some more information. What we're doing there is just like simple opening, giving him an idea of like who we are, why we're calling, because he doesn't expect us to be calling. We're just calling him like out of the blue, so to speak, even though he showed interest. This is not a booked call, you know? So this guy, we're calling him like at a random time. So just reminding him about why we're calling, and then giving him a reason for the call as well. Like, I'm giving you a call to give you some more information. That's obviously something that he wants. He wants to get more information. So that's how we're opening up. And then we're going to lead this into asking him questions to qualify him, get the pain, get the problem, all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fine.
Cool, man. So usually what I found works best in these calls is just getting some quick context about kind of what your goals are, what have you interested in looking into this and things like that. And then like based off of that, I can maybe like just give some more information right away, or just connect you with something that's going to be helpful for you. Is that cool with you?
Yep, that's fine.
So important thing here, the reason I'm telling him that, like I'm going to ask you some questions, and then based off of what you tell me, I'll connect you with something that's going to be helpful. We always want to position what we do in his best interest. Because if you just hop on us, if you just call this guy out of the blue, you start asking him questions, there's no reason for him to just like answer all our questions, you know, because he doesn't know what he's going to get from doing that. So instead, what's really, really important to do is to give him a reason for why we're going to ask these questions that's positioned in his best interest. And make him think like, okay, if I answer Alex's questions on this call, I will get what I want, which is more information about this opportunity, you know? So that's what I'm asking, or that's what I'm telling him, that I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions to figure out where you are, what your goals are, and then based on that, I'll be able to point in the right direction, which is also what we do at the end of the call, you know? So we're actually gonna be pointing him in the right direction as well by booking him in with a closer at the end if he's qualified. Come on. So when you first saw that video, what kind of like caught your attention and like motivated you to reach out in the first place?
Well, I saw the guy in the video like talk.
So first question here, super like broad question, just get an idea of like his intent basically, like what caught your attention. We want to figure out like why did he reach out in the first place when he saw that ad that he saw.
Talking a lot about making money online, which is something that I've been interested in for a long time. And there also seems to be like a lot of potential to make like really good amounts of money. And so that's why I handed in my application, because I've been trying to like find a way to make money online from home as an entrepreneur. And this seems like it would be right up my alley.
Gotcha, cool, that makes sense. So what do you do for work right now?
So I'm actually unemployed. I used to work.
Okay, so let's pause there. First off, we have a brief idea of what he's looking for. He's been seeing people make money online. He wants to get a bit more freedom, it sounds like. Cool. We have some brief context about like why he's here on the call, why he put in his information to get contacted. Then we want to move straight into his current situation. That's really like the main thing we're looking for right now. Is like, what is his current situation? What does he do for work right now? What is the reason behind why he's on the call? You know, what does he want to change basically? Does he want to get out of his 9 to 5? Is he like what situation is he in right now, and what is he looking to change exactly? That's what we're going for right now. Basically, understanding the problem.
Worked like a few months ago, but I recently like quit my job to decide to go all in on like entrepreneurship and make money. So I've been just studying day trading the past few months, but it's not really been working out for me. So I've been looking around for like other opportunities in e-commerce or now with sales, which I had never heard about before, remote sales. So right now I don't have a job.
Gotcha. Cool. That's quite a big step, like leaving your job. Like what kind of made you take that step and like want to get out?
Yeah, so really I've been unhappy with my job for like a long time because I've, you know.
So here, this is all about just being very aware on your call and listening to like what he's telling you basically. He told me that he's left his last job to be able to go all in on trading, which is obviously a big step to take. You know, there's obviously most likely it's going to be something very strong that's driving him to make such a big decision to like just leave his last job, you know. So that's something I want to dive into, just figure out like straight away, like why did you take that step? You know, what made you like leave your last job? Because it's probably some like the driving force behind him making a decision to leave his job to go all into trading is probably going to drive him to want to like get into this as well and still want to like continue that kind of path towards freedom, if that makes sense. So that's why I dig into this, because it's a big kind of like open loop and like a thing that I want to just like dig into and figure out like why did you take that big step, just to have that kind of ammo going into the remaining of the call, because it's probably going to be a lot of pain and a lot of like emotion for him, like emotional reasons for why he did that. And I want to know those reasons, because if he tells me those reasons, he's going to feel the pain and like a reason to change basically.
I watched a lot of YouTube videos. I'm on Instagram a lot, and you constantly see all these young guys just making insane amounts of money, driving Porsches, driving Lamborghinis. And I really don't want to be like left behind and be one of the normal people who work 9 to 5 until I go into retirement. So I've decided that I need to accomplish this and make that future a reality for myself as well, and make sure that I have the same sort of lifestyle that those people have. Because if they can make it, then why can't I?
Yeah, 100%. And I'm sorry if I missed that, but like, how long ago did you say you left the job?
So at this point, it's been maybe like 3 months since I quit my job.
Gotcha. Okay, got it. Right, man. So I guess like the biggest question is like when you say like you sound like you really don't want to be like in a normal position, like you said, you don't want to be left behind. Like, what is it about being like a normal traditional like job that you really don't like? I guess.
Well, I guess.
So yeah, what we're doing here now, we're just going deeper. He's told us that he doesn't see himself being in the 9 to 5. He doesn't want to go that traditional path. What I'm doing right now, I'm just getting a better idea of like why specifically does he not want to go that traditional path. What is it about 9 to 5 path and like being a average 9 to 5er that he doesn't like? You know, he's going one layer deeper and really clarifying about like the pain that comes with the problem that he's experiencing, basically.
First of all, I just don't like feeling like I'm working for someone else and they get to keep all the profits and all the money goes into their pockets and I'm just left with like the spare change, because that's how most businesses operate. There's one guy on top who makes all the money, and the rest are left to just live on the scraps. And fundamentally, that just doesn't sit right with me. I feel like I deserve better than that, and I'm like, I can't stand for working my ass off to make another guy rich. At that point, I might as well just work for myself and make myself rich, right? So that's the main reason behind it.
Yeah. How long have you felt that way for when it comes to like what you're describing to me right now? How long has that been like kind of top of mind for?
Well, I guess I've known about it for like my entire adult life since I started working. But previously it wasn't anything that like fazed me or wore me down. I was happy just working as I was. But then a few months ago, I went through like a rough breakup and I decided that I wanted to make change in my life. And it made me like realize that I want to put an effort towards becoming a better person, and just accomplishing something. Like I don't want to be a normal guy. I want to be like elite, and really be proud of myself and what I've accomplished.
Cool. I love it, man. It sounds like you have a lot of like drive.
So this is really, really important. Like last like 2 minutes here or like 60 seconds, he just spilled a bunch of problem, emotional drivers, all that kind of stuff. He doesn't feel like he could be like he's gone through a bunch of like different things in the last, I think he said like last couple of months, like a tough breakup. He doesn't feel like he's the man that he could be. Like there's a lot of like really deep rooted stuff there that we want to like just write down on a phone setting call. We don't need to deep dive into that. The closer, like so the actual sales call that we're gonna book him for, on that call, the closer is gonna go deeper on like the more like identity stuff of like how he doesn't feel like he's able to fulfill his potential and all that stuff to really get him to actually like step up and make change and actually buy the program or like commit to taking action. On this call, we don't need to go any deeper. We've gotten a bunch of pain problem for this guy, which is great. So at this point, we can just move on. And what I do here is when I move on, I basically understand what his problem is. So I understand that he doesn't want to be in a 9 to 5. He doesn't feel like that's the path he want to take. He feels like he could just achieve more in his life. Then he has tied that to how long has he felt that way for. That's a great process you want to use on your appointment setting calls to basically just like expand on the problem, get them to feel more pain and get them to feel more reason to change, is tying whatever the problem is to a time frame. So for example, if someone is like, yeah, I've been wanting to leave my 9 to 5 because I'm working crazy hours, I don't have time to see my kids. Then you want to tie that problem to this has been going on for 2 years, for example. Because if something has been going on for 2 years, it's a bigger problem compared to if it's been going on for only like 2 weeks, you know? Not being able to spend time with your kids for 2 years is a massive problem. Not being able to spend time with your kids for maybe 2 weeks is not as big of a problem. So just keep that in mind, is you want to tie the problem to a time frame. It just expands the problem, makes them feel more pain. It's a really powerful thing to use on your appointment setting calls.
I have a lot of ambition, which is really good there. So I'm curious, like with what you mentioned, you've been doing like the day trading so far, right? Like how has that been going so far with the day trading up to this point?
Yeah, so the reason I started with day trading was primarily just because that was like the first opportunity that I learned about. And I've seen like crazy people making like $250,000 in 2 months. And I've seen like straight up millionaires from like day trading.
So now we're basically digging into like what he's done to fix this, because I feel like I have the problem. I understand what the pain is for this guy, why he wants to make change. Obviously, he has a lot of like emotional drive to make change. You can tell on like how he speaks. It's very like he needs to make change. So now he's going into like what has he actually done to fix it. I want to figure out like how much action has this guy actually taken to make this change. Figure out like what path is he on right now, and basically just make sure that he doesn't have like any like parallel path to get to his goal, you know? Because the thing we don't want to do, we don't want to have like an entire setter call, figure out this is your problem, these are your goals, and then realize that this guy is already on a path that he believes is going to get him to his goal. Because in that case, there's no reason for him to buy another coaching program and buy our product, you know? So we need to like eliminate his current path from where he's at right now to where he wants to go. And that's why we're digging in and figuring out what he's actually tried so far and how that's going for him.
So it's an incredible opportunity, but it's also so incredibly difficult. And I've been like hardcore studying now for a few months, and I just realized everything about day trading, it basically goes against common human sense. Like it fucks with your mind, and it's so hard to like wrap your head around, and it's incredibly taxing mentally. So I just feel like, sure, it's a great opportunity. I love the aspect of being able to just sit in front of a computer, just press some buttons and literally print money from thin air. But I've also realized it's going to take too long, it's going to be too stressful, and I'm not going to be able to make it in the time span that I need. So that's why I'm looking for better, like more straight up business-oriented opportunities.
Gotcha. But when you say like in the time frame that you need, like what do you mean? Like, is this becoming more like a priority where you need to like get something going in terms of like getting money in, or?
Oh yeah, it's 100% of the.
Yeah, here, this guy, that's a big thing I always want to dive into. That's why it's so important to be really aware and really be like in tune and have your focus on the words that he's saying, because they're always gonna, like, the prospect is always gonna say these like small keywords that are super important, and if you miss them, you might miss like a massive pain point for them. This guy was saying like, yeah, it's not gonna allow me, like trading is not gonna allow me to get an income as soon as I would, or as soon as I need to, something like that. And when he says like I need to, those words kind of implies, because again, this guy is not working right now. He said that before. So in the context, it makes sense. Like this guy probably like he needs to start making money, or else he's gonna like end up on the street, you know. So time is of the essence. Like, there's a lot of urgency for this guy to make change, and that's why I'm digging into this, because again, like if this guy hasn't made money for a long time and he's been like trying to make money, he's living off savings. There's a lot of urgency behind that. Like he needs to start making money, or otherwise he might be in a shitty position. So that's why we're digging into this and figuring out exactly like what's the time frame and like how urgent is this for him.
A priority for me. Every day that I'm not like making progress is really depressing, and it taxes on me mentally to not feel like I'm improving, actually getting somewhere. And basically my worst fear at this point is me having to go back to a 9-to-5 and settle, and just settle for a normal salary, settle for working for someone else and making them rich. And I don't see myself being able to live that sort of lifestyle. And also it's becoming a problem financially because I don't have a job and I'm running out of my savings. So preferably I want to make money before I completely deplete my savings and I'm forced to go back to 9-to-5. So I am under some form of like time restriction.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Okay, got it. So have you looked into anything else then, like outside of trading and like now obviously remote sales?
Yeah, so I guess I've been looking around a lot into e-commerce and dropshipping, and I've heard like some insane specs.
Yeah, so there we got a bunch of urgency, like he has to make change now, he's running out of savings, blah, blah, blah. Then we want to figure out, okay, other than trading, obviously like trading has been the thing that he's been trying to do to fix the situation. So it doesn't seem like it's been really working out. We want to figure out like, is this guy doing something else? Because this guy might be doing, maybe he started like dropshipping last week, we don't know, you know? So we want to figure out like what he's doing outside of that, or if he's doing something else, to, if that's the case, eliminate that path and really sell him on, okay, remote sales is the path in this example, because we're selling a remote sales offer. But basically it's like sell him on that our offer and like our path to success is the best path for you to take, and eliminate other paths that you could potentially be on. Because that's what we're doing right now, figuring out what things he's been trying, how those things have been going, and we're getting closer and closer to like just selling him on remote sales, this being the path, and then booking him in for the next call.
Stories, and it seems like everyone and their mother is making money from dropshipping online. So I've seen a lot of content about it on YouTube and Instagram. The problem I find is, one, I've heard it's like unbelievably difficult, but people make it seem easier than it is, just to like sell you on their course and whatever. So I find the struggle to be finding who to trust and who to learn from. I'm also just not sure if it's worth the time investment. Like, if I have to spend 8 hours a day for the next 2 years and I still don't make it, like at what point do I give up? And at what point do I realize that I've been wasting my time and this isn't real? So I'm a bit scared about going into dropshipping and e-commerce, but I've been considering doing it.
Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, I definitely have some thoughts for you there as well regarding that. But it makes sense. So I guess like the question for you is like, let's say you're able to like figure this stuff out and like actually like finally kind of break through and get to a point where you can actually start.
Cool. So now we have an idea. Like he's been doing trading, hasn't been working out. He hasn't actually tried anything else because he's been scared to try other opportunities. I'm happy with that. We can move on. Now we move into the goals part and figuring out like what's the actual desired situation, like what he actually wants to really like build that like heaven island for him of what he wants to achieve. Because if trading hasn't been working out for him, it's pretty obvious. Like he understands that trading is it's not going to be the path that's going to get him to his goal. He is not trying something else. Then we don't really need to eliminate other paths. We can just sell him on the path of why remote sales is going to be the best path for him to take, aka selling him on our offer, why our offer is going to be the best path for him to succeed on. So let's keep going here.
Make an income that you want, start becoming an entrepreneur, not have to go back into the 9-to-5 job. Like, what would be the goal for you there? Like, what would you want to be bringing in, like ideally per month, to be able to have the freedom that you want and live the life that you want?
Well, I guess to start off, I would feel quite accomplished if I could bring in at least like $5,000 a month post-tax. Because at that point, I already make well above what most normal people in my country makes. And most people probably cash out like $2,500 a month. And those people, they have to work 40-hour work weeks. So if I can make twice that and work less, I will already feel successful. But then that's not my final goal, because I want to be like in complete control of my future. I want to be able to travel. I want to be able to drive fancy cars. I want to own a Porsche, and I also want to be able to give back to my family, my friends, and my grandmother. And that's a higher state of financial wealth. So the goal is to become honestly a millionaire, not to sound cliche, but at a starting point, just making 5K would be sufficient.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Love it, man. Awesome. So pretty straightforward, man. It sounds like you have very clear goals, like very clear direction of where you're looking to go in, which is great. Like that helps a lot in terms of like obviously being able to get there if you really know what you're looking for and like where you're going. So I have some thoughts for you here, man. Definitely.
Cool. So now this one, I feel like we have everything we need. Like he told us basically everything that we need to know right there. He wants to be a millionaire long term. He wants to drive nice cars. He wants to provide for his family. But his short-term goal, I think he said around like 5 to 10K, if I'm not mistaken. So we have all the context that we need because, again, on a setter call and on a appointment setting phone call, you don't need to go super deep on the problem and exactly like how he's going to feel and all that stuff. He kind of went into that to a certain extent, but it's enough just understanding like how much he wants to make in the short term, like having an amount, 10K a month, for example, understanding where he's at right now, how much he's making, and the fact that this guy doesn't work right now. We have everything that I feel like I need to know like about this guy on this call. So now it's about just going into actually like pitching him on why appointment setting is going to be the best path for him to take. So why like remote sales, aka the product that I'm selling on this call, why it's going to be the best path for him to take, and then booking him in for the call. So a couple of key notes here that I want to share with you guys is number one, notice the tonality that I'm having on this call. I keep a very, very neutral tonality throughout the call. I see a lot of people making the mistake of having this super like upward inflecting tonality where it sounds like you kind of questioning yourself in all the questions that you're asking. You want to avoid that. You want to keep a certain neutral tonality, almost like if you're giving orders to someone, kind of like how I'm speaking right now. That's a very good tonality to have. You sound neutral. You don't sound like you're kind of questioning yourself, but at the same time, you don't want to sound like some crazy, like military, like aggressive dude, like seem like a dick on the call, you know? So neutral, friendly, but certain tonalities. You sound confident. You sound like a leader. It's very clear that I'm leading this guy through the call. I'm asking clear, short questions with certain tonality. It sounds like I've had this call multiple times. That comes from practice because I've taken thousands of calls like this back to back. So that's why it sounds like that. But the way you can like imitate that is just by using a certain neutral tonality and trying to avoid that like upward inflecting like tonality where it sounds like you're asking questions. And also just doing as many reps as possible. If you practice this script over and over again, you practice doing calls, role play with friends, family members, things like that, you will naturally start speaking in the correct way as well. And you'll have calls like this. So now we're going to get into the pitch, which is probably the best part of this call, where I do a pretty like advanced pitch, I guess you could say, for like a phone setting call, where I basically just want to make sure that this guy is really, really bought in to our offer before I book him for the closer. The reason why I do that is because if you want to make a lot of money as an appointment setter, the best way you can do that is getting people extremely bought into the opportunity that you're selling. If people are bought in when they show up to the call with the closer and they think to themselves, this is the vehicle that I need to do to succeed. For example, in this case, I want to make 10K a month and have freedom. Appointment setting and like remote sales is the best path for me to get there. If this guy believes that, he is going to be so much easier to close for the closer. Because the closer basically needs to overcome maybe some limiting beliefs, build some urgency, and then you sell him on the program. It's so much easier to do compared if the guy shows up to the call and doesn't really know what remote sales even is. So that's basically what the rest of this call is going to be. Me selling him on the opportunity, getting him bought in, and then booking the closing call. So let's check it out.
There's some like feedback if you're open to it.
Yeah, of course.
Cool. Because like, to be honest with you, man, like, it sounds like like I said, you have clear goals. You're obviously a very like ambitious, young, driven guy, and it's like you tried the stuff to get there. It's not like you're not doing something to get there, and you're just like dreaming. Like, you're obviously doing stuff to get these goals. You quit your job. You're doing day trading. Sounds like the biggest thing that's kind of like missing for you in terms of getting to these goals of becoming an entrepreneur, making money that you want, is just the fact that you've kind of been in very complex opportunities. You know, like you said, you've been doing day trading. That takes a lot of time to learn. You've heard about e-commerce, and a lot of people that I work with, and myself included, you know, they've done the same stuff. They tried e-commerce, they tried trading, and the issue with most of those things is like it requires you to learn like 5-10 different skills at the same time. It's like how to market yourself, how to get clients, how to build websites. Or with trading, like you're taking a ton of risk. It takes you a lot of time to learn the skill. We're talking like years in order to start making money from it. So I don't think the issue for you is that you're not like committed. It sounds like you have a lot of commitment, a lot of drive. It sounds like you're just putting that into the wrong type of vehicle, the wrong type of opportunity right now. And the good part about it is like because doing remote sales basically solves that problem for you completely. Because remote sales, and being a remote seller specifically.
No, so basically what I'm doing, very simple stuff. I'm just helping him see why the stuff that he's tried before didn't work out. You know, I'm kind of like taking the blame away from him. It's like, it's not your fault. Like, it sounds like you've been working hard. It sounds like you're committed.
The issue and the reason why you haven't succeeded is because you've been in the wrong vehicles. You've been pursuing the wrong type of opportunities that even if you worked super hard, it was hard for you to succeed with it, you know? And that's gonna kind of almost like a light bulb moment for him where he's like, oh yeah, this is the reason why it hasn't worked out. I want to give him some like insights that's kind of, I guess, like new to him, you know, stuff that he hasn't thought about before. Because then he's gonna realize, yeah, like this guy's right. Like the reason why I haven't succeeded was because of this. It's so simple. So I just need to, and then obviously I position what we do as the solution. So I tell them like, this is the reason why everything that you tried in the past hasn't worked out. And this is also the reason why what we do on our end and why this offer and this opportunity is going to be different. If you get that like method, or if you do that process correctly, people are going to show up to the next call and people are going to buy 100%. Super powerful stuff. So basically, just to recap, what I'm doing here is I want to position and just help him understand why everything that he's tried in the past hasn't worked out and why this opportunity is going to be different from the stuff that he's tried before. That's what we're doing right now.
Basically what it is instead of having to build your own business and learn like 15 different skills, you're focusing on one single skill. You're focusing only on learning literally the most fundamental skill in business, which is sales. And then you just need to like find one client to work for, one business to sell for. And doing that, you can make 5-10K a month fairly quickly if you're committed to it. You can decide your own hours, work from wherever you want, and then also set yourself up so in the future, if you want to do day trading, if you want to do like whatever the long-term goal is to become an entrepreneur, you can use the capital and the skills that you've learned to then pour into that and have more success as a result of that. So honestly, like based on what you're sharing, I think it's going to make a ton of sense for you to get into this because it's going to align with your goals. It's going to allow you to make the money you want. It's going to allow you to break through so you don't need to go back into the 9-to-5 job because the path to 5K a month in this industry is way quicker because really all it takes to succeed is learning the skill set.
So again, this can be applied to any offer that you'd be selling. If you're selling a fitness offer, for example, you do the same thing. You basically sell them on your guys' unique method to success. So let's say that someone is looking to lose weight and you're selling like a carnivore coaching offer or like a vegan coaching offer or like a keto offer. Then what you will do is you will tell someone, okay, so the reason why like the stuff that you tried in the past hasn't worked out is because you've been committed to the diet. You've been sticking to the diet, let's say, or let's even say like this, let's say you had the drive and the commitment to succeed, but because you've been eating the wrong way, you get hungry, You get hungry because of that, and that's why you always fell off the path. What we do on our end is, with the way that we'll teach you to eat, you're not going to get hungry. You're not going to feel hungry, or whatever the benefit is of what you do, what you teach. And because of that, you will finally achieve your goal. So basically, it's helping them understand, like, the stuff you tried in the past, it hasn't worked out because of X, Y, and Z reason. What we do is going to work out because it fixes X, Y, and Z problem. This is a super powerful framework. It works for any niche, health coaching, diet coaching, like even dating coaches. The reason why the stuff that you tried in the past hasn't worked out is because you've been dating women or you've been meeting women in this method. And that doesn't work because of X, Y, and Z. And what we do on our end fixes that, because what we do is we teach you how to meet women through cold approach, which like completely removes the risk of X, Y, and Z, So it's like get into that way of thinking. Whatever offer that you're selling, whatever offer, whatever opportunity that you're selling, you can always use this framework when you're pitching. It's super powerful. So let's jump a bit forward here. That's basically what I'm doing right now, is pitching the opportunity, getting him bought in on this being the path to his goal.
Getting good at it and finding good business for you to take, or what are your thoughts on that?
And now he's getting his buy-in that he actually agrees with what I'm saying. Because we can't just talk at someone. We need to actually like ask them and get him to actually tell me like, yeah, Alex, what you're saying makes sense. Because otherwise he might not be agreeing. So we just want to make sure like this guy actually agrees with us before we move into booking the call. So think about it. This is almost like a sequence, where you're building a building, First off, you want to make sure that he actually believes that our solutions, so appointment setting, is the path for him to get to his goal. We get his confirmation, get him to say yes, then we've built the base. Then the next step is booking him in for a call, so a sales call. We're not going to call it a sales call, but booking him in for the next call. That's like the next kind of block. But that is impossible to, or not impossible, but it's very hard to get him to agree to book into the next call if he doesn't agree that this is actually the best path to success.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I buy everything you're saying. I think it makes complete sense, just learning one skill and just profiting as much as you can from it. And I feel like this might actually be the opportunity because it truly does sound amazing.
Able to communicate very clearly with me on this call, and that's really what it takes to get good at this, So from here on, man, what I think is going to make the most sense for us to do.
So that we have his buy-in. He wants to, he sees this being the right opportunity for him. Now the next step is just booking him in for the actual sales call.
Considering it sounds like it's a good fit, but you probably have like more questions, more things that you want to know, and things like that. And to be honest, I'm not really like the right person to talk you through all those details and things like that. So what's going to make most sense from here is I can connect you with one of our top coaches, basically Alex's right-hand guy. And his job is basically two things. He can sit down with you over an actual call. We guys can go into everything more in depth, get really clear on what your goals actually are, see if those actually align with what we do in remote setting.
map out a game plan for you, a customized game plan for you of exactly what like a path into this industry is going to look like. Walk you through the timeline, answer all of your questions, so you can actually understand how this truly works. And then, like, if stars align, if they think you're a good fit, and if you want to hear about it, he can also walk you through like what working with us closer one-on-one would actually look like, investment, timeline, all that good stuff. So I think that would make the most sense for you to sit down with him, hear about how everything works, and then be able to take it from there. But what are your thoughts on that? Like, how does that sound? So now the last like 60 seconds, I was basically like pitching, talking with the closer. So, you know, I position the closer as the partner to the business owner. So like the business owner's partner who can be able to, he's an expert on the subject, he can sit down with you, walk you through the step-by-step plan. You basically just want to like build that person up to make it sound like this valuable person to speak with, who's going to like give them the solution to the problem and all that stuff. You know, the more you can do that, like build that person up, the more likely this prospect is going to be to show up to the next call, because it feels like he's going to talk with someone that's actually valuable. He's not going to like reschedule the call. He's not going to like just no-show because he's been given a favor to speak with the closer. So that's super important. You want to make that feel like a scarce and really valuable favor that they're being given when you're booking them to the next person or to the closer. You don't want to be like, yeah, so the next step from now on is just to book you with this guy, you know? Because then they're going to feel like they're just part of a sales process. It's all about, okay, so we had this conversation. I think what's going to make most sense for us to do from now is I'm willing to book you in and almost like give you access to business owner's partner. He's going to be able to sit down with you, walk you through next steps, walk you through a plan, exactly step by step, a roadmap of how we can help you go from where you are to where you want to go. Like just build it up and make it very valuable for them. People will show up, show rate is going to be higher to the next call, meaning that you will make more money as an appointment setter because it's a commission-based role.
Yeah, I mean, I have nothing against that. That sounds like a great opportunity. And I mean, what's the worst that can happen? I lose a bit of time. So,
or 2 p.m. Eastern time better for you tomorrow. How'd I call?
Now
what we do is we just book him in. So I give him 2 different options. Is there another like quick tip here is when you book people in, you want to give them options. You know, so like, does this or this time work better for you? That's super powerful because then people will, instead of telling them like, yeah, okay, so I have 2 p.m. tomorrow. Does that work for you? Then it's like a yes or no question. You want to do what's called an option close. So give them 2 different options. So does 2 or 4 p.m. work better for you? Then they're picking between yes and yes. So like having a call at this time, having a call at this time versus having a call or not having a call. You know? So quick thing is make the booking process way easier when you give people options. So you do the pitch, you tell them like, okay, this is going to be the next part of the process. I can book you with a coach. They can walk you through the step-by-step plan and break everything down for you, answer your questions. I have their availability right now. I could get an opening at tomorrow at this or this time. What works better for you? And you just do that until you find a time, you book them in, and that's the setter call right there. So hopefully this is valuable for you guys. It's literally like exactly what I did to be able to make my first 7, 8, and 9K month in remote high-ticket sales. And the best way for you to actually apply the stuff that you learn from this video right now is to start practicing this stuff. Use the same questions, the same process that I just walked you through in this video, understanding people's problem, understanding what they've tried to fix the problem, their goals, and then pitching the opportunity and pitching the next call. And just practice that. Find friends, family members. So in this video, you will see me do a client interview with my one-on-one client. His name is Jacob. He's 19 years old and he's on track to make $10,000 per month as an appointment setter in a business that I placed him in through my one-on-one coaching. So this is gonna be a super valuable video for all of you guys looking to get into high-ticket sales, or if you're in high-ticket sales looking to level up. You're gonna learn a lot from just hearing Jacob's mindset, how he's been able to succeed, his learning lessons, everything. We go in depth on his journey. So lock in, watch this all the way through, grab your popcorn, and let's get into it. All right, guys, so I'm sitting here with Jacob. We've been working together for a while now in my one-on-one coaching. And yeah, he's been getting great results. He went from being a setter, just making a couple of $100 per month, to now making over 4K in the last couple of weeks. So I wanted to hop on with a quick interview, just ask him so you guys can hear about his experience from himself instead of just me talking about it, about where he was before, about the results he's gotten together. And I know a lot of you guys will resonate with his journey, about like his drive as a young 19-year-old, getting these results at a young age, and also wanting to like achieve more in his life. So Jacob, why don't you introduce yourself? Who are you? How old are you? And where are you from?
So I'm 19 years old. I'm originally from Poland, but I moved to Sweden when I was 6 years old. So yeah, then I like made my own journey when I was like 16. I had no clue. I always said that like my only thought was to be a lawyer, but I knew that that wasn't like the thing I wanted to do, but that was my only thought. So at 16, I decided to like, yeah, I need to do something. So I joined a marketing course, but as Alex said, that like didn't went well. I mean, I lacked the skill skill of sales. I mean, sales is the most important thing, and I was so bad at talking to people that I knew to improve that, and I need to like improve the thing that I'm like most bad at, and that's sales, like talking to people. So then I started in sales instead of marketing.
All right, and that's, I think it's an important lesson for a lot of you guys watching this as well. Also for myself, it was, you know, like understanding that sales is a very fundamental skill to learn. Like if you don't know how to sell, it's going to be hard to succeed in business, in life, in entrepreneurship, whatever it is. So the fact that you like realize that at a young age, sales is the thing you want to go in on is really, really cool. So why don't you tell us about like before you started working with me? I know you were in a very different position. You were working as a setter, right, in a different company. Can you tell us a bit about like how that was, like what you were doing there, how much you were working, and like what type of money you were making, and what type of like challenges you were facing like before working together when you were coming in?
Yeah, all right. So I like worked in sales for a year about, and it was really hard since I mean I only found like bad offers that didn't saw me as a person. Like I don't know, they just bring in the team. I kind of like didn't have a good introduction in onboarding. Everything was like bad, and the leads quality, like the people who signed into the course or like the thing I was selling, that wasn't so great. And throughout the year it was really hard, but I knew that it doesn't matter like what offer I was in. I needed to still like be good at talking to people, so that was okay. But then like after a year, I knew that I was capable of like doing so much more, and I knew like my skill set was better than I like deserved in that like space I was working in. So I decided I needed to do something, and then I stumbled upon Alex, and I can like resonate with Alex. He's blonde. He, I don't know, live in Sweden. So I just decided to invest in him, and that was a insane good decision.
Yeah, and the cool thing is like when you came to me, that's what I told you as well. Is like you have a good skill set, like you're good at what you do, but you're just like not in the right vehicle. You know, you're working hard. I know you were like really committed. You were hungry. You were getting after it, and you were definitely some stuff that we worked on in terms of your skill set. You definitely got better while working together. But like the skill set that you already had working with them, I think you were getting paid. How much was it that you were getting paid there, like per month, roughly?
At 200 up to like 500. So that's nothing.
Yeah, now that's like what you make some days in a new role, right? So it's like it's
like
about just applying. That's a lesson for a lot of you guys watching this as well. Is like when it comes to getting into sales, a lot of people, they have a good skill set, but they don't have access to the right roles because they're not in the right rooms, in the right network, and then it becomes hard to succeed. You know, that's what Jacob was doing. He was trying to he had a good skill set, but he was just like in the wrong rooms, in the wrong vehicles. No matter like how hard he worked, he couldn't actually like make the money that he was like actually deserving to make. You know, so that makes sense. I guess like the other question I would have is like when you actually came in, we started working together, like from your perspective, obviously I know like what we did and stuff, working on your skill set, getting you access to a good offer, and also the fact that you were wrapping up your last year of school. Can you tell me about like the experience of like working together, like what actually happened, and then also like the offer that you're in right now, and like how that's going for you so far?
So like if I'm completely honest, like without me getting the step out and like investing in you and like, all right, sales is what I'm like want to do. Without that like extra push from you, I don't know if I will continue in sales, since as you said, I was in a bad vehicle for over a year, and I mean it takes on you. It was really hard. For now, I got like the extra push from you and like the community in your group. I'm in our group right now, so it was like the push, and I needed that push to like do the task daily, doing the outreach, even if it was like bad offers I found. At the end, I found the insane offer, and it was worth doing the hard work.
And that's obviously like the community aspect with it as well, because especially recently we have a lot of guys like winning in the group, making a lot of money like on a daily basis. We have Sam, Anton, and also yourself and other guys. Like that's always like motivating to keep going. And then also when you came in, I know in the beginning, like we were focusing mainly on the skill set and it's getting better. And then I connected you with this offer. Eventually, it took some time to get into the role because they had some stuff going on. But now you got into the role, and like how's things going for you right now in the role? Tell us about like I know the numbers that you're making, but tell us about like how everything went, like the first day, first week, first 2 weeks in this role.
So as you said, it was a long process, since it's a good offer that you want like to reach out to everyone, and then after like some weeks, I finally got it. So my first day, or like already, I knew that the onboarding was good, the offer was good. I knew that was an insane opportunity. So I like gave all my energy my first day, and my first day I earned 1K. So I like booked in people to other day, but that day I made like 1K. So that's insane. After 2 weeks, I like continue like spending like 8-10 hours a day, since I like knew I wanted to stay in that offer. So I would just do everything. I made now I'm like on 4K. And my next plan, like next month, is like probably 10K or more.
That's sick, especially considering the fact that like just a couple of months ago you're literally making like 5% of that or like 10% of that, making like $500 less per month. So that's crazy, man. I'm really happy to hear that as well. And it also comes down to obviously like I helped them get connected with that offer from my network, but also like the work that Jacob's been putting in. That like is the commitment, the hunger that goes very far in this industry. You know, can go very far and like get very good roles and get good results. Like he made 1K his first day in this role as a 19-year-old. So if any of you guys watching this have like limiting beliefs, like if you can do this, etc., like what would you tell those people? People that are, I talk to some people sometimes that are like they don't know if they can learn the skill, if it's actually possible to land a good position, and they have limiting beliefs, or maybe they're scared, etc., investing in themselves. What would you tell people that have those limiting beliefs, etc.?
I mean, just go for it, since I wasn't like the smartest kid in my group, like friend group, like throughout like when I was like 15 to 17. I was like the dumb one that I don't know, hadn't like a future or something. And I guess like that was my motivation to like see that I'm capable of that. And like everyone is capable. I guess it's just the energy you need to put in and find something drove you like further. Since if you don't have a goal, if you don't have like the energy to spend the boring things, then you'll like succeed. But if you just do it like day by day, invest in yourself, like do everything and not like spend your time on TikTok, whatever, like focus on yourself. That's like the most important thing.
Yeah, 100%. And that's something that you did extremely well as well. Is like jumping into it, taking action, not being scared to like look stupid in the beginning, and like asking questions and like getting feedback a lot. And also, yes, like you said as well, like being willing to, because a lot of people, especially like younger guys, because you're 19, I'm 22, a lot of the guys that I work with are fairly young as well. Whereas like you have a lot of like people in your surrounding, friends, family that tell you other stuff. It's important to just like listen to yourself and like have that kind of internal voice guiding you and like doing the stuff that you want to be doing, because that's what leads you obviously to the point where you get these results and you actually like achieve the goals that you have. Is just like listening to your own path and ignoring people that haven't achieved what you want to achieve. That's really cool to hear. I guess the last question I have for you is like, someone who's watching this, I know a lot of the guys that like are gonna watch this video, they probably want to get into high ticket sales. Like they're wondering like how do they actually get their first role? What's the actual process? Like what should they be doing? Should they get a mentorship? Should they do it on their own? Like what would you tell someone that's like at that stage right now, is like looking to get started? They want to start making the first like 5-10K a month online, start getting the same results that you've gotten. What would you tell someone? Like what would be your like honest advice on like what to start doing for that person, to give them some like tactical advice?
So I quite can't like tell, like I wasn't like from zero. I was in a marketing course and the connection and the community was like okay. I got a sales job through that. But if I was on my own, like no community, no friends that are like working on a like sales job, I think I will just be lost, since the community is the most important thing. Just reach out to everyone like you know, or if you don't find, you need to like invest in yourself. I mean, that's the most important thing. If you're like you don't believe in yourself, like you don't believe, if you, let's say you spend some like money on yourself, if you don't like believe in yourself, I mean, what I'm trying to say, like you will believe in yourself when you invest money or like something, time in yourself. And if you don't do that, then yeah, it's kind of hard.
Yeah. So you say like if you have contacts, like use those contacts, and if you don't, like invest in yourself pretty much and get help with it. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, basically. And like hard work as well. Like those normal stuff everyone is saying on like YouTube, and so it's like it's true most of them.
100%.
So yeah,
100%. Yeah, that's exactly, and that's the funny thing. Like if you want to get into high ticket sales, you also need to usually invest in yourself, because you're like, as a sales rep, you're selling high ticket programs, so you can't expect other people to do something that you're not willing to do yourself. That's something that you're doing well. Like you're actually investing in yourself. And myself as well, I've invested over $40,000 into my like in courses, self-development, to actually get the skills to move forward. So I agree with that 100%. Cool, man. I think we'll wrap it up here. Great talking with you, great hearing your journey. Do you have any like last words or like last tips for people that want to get into high ticket sales or want to do something similar to you? Like any last advice for them?
I don't know, just go for it. Like don't think, like my friend was thinking about like starting something else, but I just said go for it, and now he also like good path. So just go for it, and yeah, it will like at the end be good.
Good stuff, man. Great talking with you, and we'll talk soon. Thanks for the call.
Yeah. So
I've helped over 100 guys get into high ticket sales and land good remote sales roles. And in this video, I'm going to share a client interview that I did with one of my one-on-one students. His name is Leon. Basically, he's sharing exactly his experience working with me, his results in his first 3 weeks of working together, and the advice for you looking to get into high ticket sales. So this is going to be very valuable. So make sure you lock in, watch this all the way through. And if you're interested in working with me, you can always book a call down below this video or message me on Instagram. Let's get into it. So I'm sitting here with Leon. We've been working together now for the last 3 weeks. He reached out to me on Instagram, wanted some help to get into remote high ticket sales and get into a better financial spot. So
last 3 weeks that we're working together, can you tell us a bit about kind of where your life was at and where you were at before we started working together?
Yeah, so before I reached out to you, I was really getting desperate because I am unemployed, or I was unemployed. And I've been living on my savings to try to pursue my own entrepreneurial journey. So my money was about to run out. I was contemplating going back to 9 to 5 because I have to pay rent somehow. But in a last effort, I ended up learning about sales really on a whim by like just scrolling YouTube. And the more I looked into it, the more I started, seeing it as an opportunity. And eventually I found your channel and I resonated with you as a person. So I decided to reach out to you.
Awesome. At that point, have you ever had like did you ever had any like sales experience or ever done sales before when you reached out to me?
Yeah, so no, I'm a complete beginner when it comes to sales, which is also one of the reasons why I felt like I had to reach out to someone, because I had no idea how to get started, how to develop this skill. I had no idea where to look for jobs, where to look for help. So that's why I decided to reach out.
Yeah, cool. I really want to highlight this. It's really cool because Leon basically, he took a big step before, tried to get into entrepreneurship. He's been trying to make that happen, analyzed that like entrepreneurship is hard to do. It makes more sense to like learn a skill and master that. And he went all in on mastering the skill. And he, like he said right now, he went from literally no experience, never having done this ever before. And can you tell me kind of like what's changed now? Like where are you at now after these 3 weeks of working together?
Yeah, so I mean, we've been working daily. We've been having calls. We've been having Zoom meetings. You've been giving me feedback and trying to, give me as many exercises and as much work to do as possible to make use of all the free time I have. And we've been really making a lot of progress in a short time, to the point where, as you said before, now I'm actually in a position working as an appointment setter and on track to make 3K this month.
That's sick. Went from no experience at all, never done sales before. Now he's in a position, working with a company, is on track to make 3K in his first every month. That's amazing. And like, I'm curious, like when working together, like what do you think has been the most, I guess, like helpful thing or like most valuable thing you gotten out from this time together?
So the most helpful by far has just been how hands-on you've been. I mean, I've never had to reach out to you. I've never had to make the steps. I've never had to like force you to get in touch with me. It's always been the other way around. If anything, you forced me to join you on calls and join you on meetings, and so it's never been my responsibility for this entire journey. You've been really hands-on. You've been like a proper coach. You've had daily check-ins and you've taken most of the work on yourself.
And I'm also going to say that you've been like really a good student as well. You've been showing up and like implementing and taking feedback very well, because I usually challenge people and like challenge you to kind of step up, make changes and like change how you think, beliefs, things like that. And you've been really like open to that, implementing, like you've literally been like the perfect student. You've been implementing everything I told you, been putting the time, putting the reps, doing the exercises, showing up. And that's also a big part of seeing the results with the coaching that I've been giving you, that fact that you've been implementing on it as well. So that's really cool to see, for sure. And I think the last question I want to ask you is like, for someone else who, if you were to talk with yourself 6 months ago, even like 1 year ago, or last like three weeks ago, 1 month ago, like what would you tell kind of that version of yourself when it comes to like actually getting into sales, getting mentorship and getting help from someone like me? Like what would be your advice to that version of yourself when it comes to that?
Well, honestly, I think before I was opposed to spending money on anything really. Like I've been, before this I was trying to pursue day trading, but I never actually paid for help. I never paid for a mentor. I never paid for a program. I never paid for education, because I thought, well, it's all a scam. They're all gonna lie. I'm gonna waste my money, until I actually tried it myself and took the step. And now I've realized, the immense value that I've received from it. And I think if I had not taken that step, I wouldn't be here right now, and I would probably be back at a 9 to 5.
Yeah, I agree. It comes down to two things. What I see for like myself as well in my own journey, it's very similar as well. It's like
First off, you need to be in the right vehicle, you need to be in the right boat, like focus on learning the right type of business model, which for most people is going to be sales. It's very simple. You learn one thing instead of building a business. And if you combine that with mentorship from someone who's done it, like that's basically this key for succeeding with it. I'm very excited to see your journey moving forward as well with the company that you're with, continue scaling with them. So that's it for this interview. Hopefully you guys found this valuable. You got some nuggets away from this video. And if you want the same type of coaching that Leon got to get similar results to him, you can apply for one-on-one coaching with me down below this video by booking a call or messaging me on Instagram. I'll see you guys in the next video.